Alright, let's do this. Sorry, I was talking to Brimo about life lessons, things to learn, and stuff. Alright, we'll switch over to S&T. It's 5 o'clock. So Space News will run for 2 hours, and we'll go to 7, and then we'll get back into KSP. That is when I think the poll ends. So, EJ Space. Holy crap, that's a lot of links. And Rocket Review. Alright, chat, what's on your minds here? Oh my goodness. Okay. Alright, welcome to Space News. Let's go in here. And Hellfish, that if you're still here, that house is kind of awesome. It looks like a house, but it's definitely a warehouse on the inside, which is pretty cool. Let's put that over there. We can talk about that later. Get that open. Take this, move this over here like that. Okay, who's that subbing in there? Spoon! Hey man! Oh, and low. 85 and sunny mean it's a great day to wrench. How goes everything? I can't complain, dude. I can't complain, man. It's a good day. Everything is good, as far as I know. Like, everything good with you guys? I wish I had more time to wrench, dude. But I'll find a way to fit the auto stream in with the new schedule. Here. I'm just copying this over here. Okay, there's the 3D camera there. Alright, cool. Cool. Yeah, Hellfish, that house is neat, dude. It looks like a house, but it's definitely a warehouse inside. And yeah, that would be freaking sweet, dude. How about that for a base of operations, huh? Freaking look at this thing. This house on Zillow, right? It looks like a nice house, right? And then you start noticing things. It's like, wow. That's a nice house, right? It's nice. It's a beautiful house. Nice bricks, nice brickwork. Stonework is really nice. And then you go inside and it's, it's got a diesel, industrial diesel generator inside. We're not buying it. I don't need to move to Texas, Primo. But it's got a what is that? A Caterpillar generator? Like a heavy on isolators. It's on isolators. Yeah, that okay. All right, there's that. Natural gas with diesel backup. This is inside the house. This is not what the inside of house looked like. There's another one. That's 2 of them. Oh, look, now there's 2 of them. Dude, I'm never cracking a vice grip joke again. I lost the brakes halfway home. Sketchy drive. Oh, jeez. Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, Snap, I hope you're okay. It feels like a bit like the house in the opening scene of War Games. Yeah, right? Dude, it's a frickin' fortress. What is this? Is this like atomic blast proof? Is it NBC capable? This is ridiculous. Okay. What do those windows go through? Are those windows fake? Like, are the windows in the front fake? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. All right. You feel like that's how the Manhattan Project started? Oh, you should see the building that the Manhattan Project started in. Yeah, check this out. You want to see the building that the Manhattan Project actually started in? Are we sure this isn't the building from Ghostbusters? Is this in Manhattan? Yep. Mm-hmm. No, this isn't. It's in New York City, guys. Yeah, that's in New York City. The Woolworth building. I think that, at least I think that's it. Yeah, it is the Woolworth building. Okay, I was right. Is that in London? No, it's in it's in Manhattan. The Manhattan Project, when it was first commissioned, was what they were trying to do is gather intelligence on atomic weapons. It started as gathering intelligence on where the Germans were at, where the Japanese were at with atomic weapons, basically where the Axis powers were with that. And it started as an intelligence gathering operation, and that morphed into, holy crap, we need to make this before they do. And well, we opened up a can of worms there. Okay. You just linked a great video about the X-30 in Aerospace and Science channel. Check it out when you get a chance. No spoilers, please. Right. I thought it was underneath Columbia University. I think there's a nuclear reactor under there. Yeah, Jonas, that's right. Find better ways to blow ourselves up. I guess if we insist on doing that, finding better ways to blow ourselves up, at least let's reap some of the other benefits that don't include blowing ourselves up, I guess, like ICBMs and rockets, for instance. I mean, if we're gonna be like that, you know, like, we got the can open before the other guys did, though. Yeah. Yep. All right, hold on a second here. So, I'm going to save the Starship stuff till the end. Let's cover everything else. I'm just getting this, let's go over there. That goes there. The cycle isn't really that big today, but what's wrong with the sound? I don't know, Forge. Okay, so we'll start with the video here. Let's go. So ULA has posted a video today of the Starliner rollout. Starliner for the OFT-2 mission did roll out to Slick 41 from the vehicle integration facility to the pad proper on its mobile launcher. Check it out.
At ULA, our team and our rocket have a tremendous responsibility. With human lives on board, there's a heightened level of focus influencing every decision we make.
I got it, Kim.
We've built our company on a heritage of decades of experience, design, testing, and simulation, ensuring a million things go right at the same time. From the 1962 launch of John Glenn to today's Starliner crew, Atlas has proudly held the honor to launch our nation's most precious payload, America's astronauts. Like the late, great John Glenn once said, if there is one thing I've learned in my years on this planet, it's that the happiest and most fulfilled people I've known are those who devoted themselves to something bigger and more profound than merely their own self-interest. Now, it's our time to demonstrate ULA's innovations that are changing the way we launch people into space. The torch has been passed. We've learned from the most experienced scientists in the industry. We connected with the Starliner crew and take seriously the absolute necessity to deliver them safely into space, ensuring that their 15-minute ride at 3.5 Gs is flawless. And we've carefully trained a committed, passionate, and experienced team who stand behind tried and trusted technology with expanded safety features on a rocket with industry-leading success. As a new generation of rocket scientists, it's our privilege to uphold the Atlas legacy of successful human spaceflight. We made a commitment to safety, a commitment to returning astronauts to space from American soil, and a commitment to continue our heritage. We're ready. ULA is go for launch.
Oh. Hey. What up? There's the blast plug in the SRB right there. So actually, a quick thing. I don't think they moved Starliner with the OFT yet. They were having some problems with that, but it should literally be happening right now. Nah, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Gotta send something. It got delayed till tomorrow. Oh, no. We don't need the second one. The second one there. Eh, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, okay, so it looks like they delayed it until tomorrow. Sorry, I was sending out a message. This is random, but it was the little boy bomb. Literally a bullet of refined uranium firing at a pellet of refined uranium. It seems too simple. Did you hear that Hellion Energy broke ground on a fusion power plant? I did not hear that. Well, ULA needs better ISP. Well, they put all their ISP into ISP, not ISPs. You know what I mean? So, Phil, yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, little boy is a uranium implosion device. So, okay, long story short, in material science, there's this thing called critical mass, all right? So, critical mass, what does that mean? So, like, okay, so if you have metal, right? If you have a block of aluminum and you heat it with a torch, when it reaches critical mass, that's basically, if I'm remembering this right, please, someone correct me on this. It's fuzzy, so I could be wrong. If you heated up a block of aluminum, critical mass would be how much heat that thing can absorb before it literally just melts. Well, little boy was a little bit different, but long story short, yeah, little boy is the gun, and Fat Man is the plutonium implosion. So, okay, long story short, you need to do that to radioactive materials to get it to nuke. You need to get it to critical mass. That's very important. If you don't get it to critical mass, you won't get a chain reaction, right? Where you have unregulated nuclear flux. That's what happens when a nuke goes off. Think of it like a capacitor, or like no, not a capacitor, scratch that. Think of it like a flash bulb on a camera, all right? You have the flasher on a camera, that's designed to just a lot of electricity all out at once. Capacitors run the flasher on a camera to get the light really bright for like 2 seconds and then it goes away. Take that and now picture like a light on your phone or something. This right here is much more like what a nuclear power plant does. A nuclear bomb basically does that. Not blinks, but it fizzes out real fast. And in order to get, and both a nuclear power plant and a nuclear weapon rely on what's called neutron flux, okay? Neutron flux is, well, when you have radioactive decay, you have neutrons that hit other radioactive atoms, and when the neutron hits, it knocks a neutron out. It splits it. What a nuclear weapon does is it regulates that amount. Or not regulates. A nuclear power plant regulates the amount of flux. A nuclear bomb just basically goes ham on it. And in order to do that, you need to get radioactive material to critical mass, which is why they literally just shot uranium down a barrel at another piece of uranium. It hit it so hard that basically it heated up. It ionized. Well, it didn't ionize it. It basically is the same kind of thing. It does the same kind of thing when something comes back from reentry. It's that. It hits it so much it heats it up. And it heats it to critical mass, and then So, like, that's how the nukes work, Phil. That's how little boy and Fat Man work. But Fat Man is a little bit different. That's an implosion device. They figured out that you can get a much higher yield if you get... Okay, here, check it out. We're going into paint to start space news. So little boy is like this, right? So there was a slug of uranium here and a pipe right here, and then there's another piece of uranium right here. All it did was shoot that into that and cause a, you know? This is working on one axis, right? You're working in one dimension, okay? Right? Fat Man looks a lot more like this, right? The reason why it looks a lot more like that is because they had a ball of plutonium at the center and basically a bunch of little guns doing this. It's basically Little Man, but in a sphere. A little boy, but in a sphere. And they're using plutonium instead because they figured out that if you get getting plutonium to critical mass and getting it to go nuclear is a much more potent explosion. So that's why Fat Man is more circular, because a nuke is circular. It's a circular design. And I'll be honest, it hasn't changed much since that. I mean, little upgrades here and there, but that's the gist of it. You just need to get a big enough piece of uranium or a piece of uranium or a piece of plutonium. You need to just get it you heat it to critical mass, but you need to do it quickly, because then it causes a cascading chain reaction. Yeah, Scott has a great series about it if you guys want to watch it. It's how nuclear stuff works, very interesting. Basically, so like a piece of uranium, like a little ball of uranium or whatever, has a bunch of potential energy in it, and it lets that energy go over time, right? Through what's called radioactive decay. Radioactive decay is just basically it fizzing out over time, and when it's fizzing, so to speak, right? That's it. There's neutron flux going on, but it's only enough to really generate a little bit of heat. Getting the uranium to go to critical mass basically it makes all the neutron fluxes happen all at once. That's what a nuclear blast is. It's like a flashbulb on a camera versus a light. How are hydrogen bombs different? I forget. I forget, Awesome. It also has to be super pure uranium-235. You have to make it significantly more than critical mass. There you go. There's a video explaining it really well. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Basically, you don't want it to fizz. That's all. The hydrogen in a hydrogen bomb heats up and makes a really big explosion. Yeah, Castle Bravo. H-bombs use a nuke to compress hydrogen to fusion. Oh man, that's even crazier. Yeah, that's what they do. Hydrogen is crazy, dude. It's a crazy element, man. Yeah, a lot of experts in the chat. Thank you for filling everybody in. Hydrogen bombs have a hollow sphere of plutonium filled with tritium or deuterium. Interesting. How many did you have? 4. Nice. This chat is the security risk. They basically heat hydrogen up to 300 million Kelvin, which causes it to start fusing. Yeah, I guess it's past critical mass, right? But, I mean, yeah, it's basically got to heat it up really, really fast and get it. If you heat it up really, really fast, the nuclear material will release all its potential energy all at once. That's it. Like I said, like a flash bulb. So, picture if you have like a light. You have a light on for like an hour, okay? And it uses a certain amount of electricity, right? And then you have a flash bulb on a camera. Picture the flash bulb on that camera using that same amount of electricity all in 1 second. It'd be a really, really bright, really super bright flash, right? Basically, a nuclear weapon is a capacitor for nukes. That's all. It's a capacitor for nuclear material. It's not. Don't say it like that. That's not the right terminology. But it gets the point across. Yeah, it's still 40% livid. It's cool, man. Yeah, no, nuclear stuff is really interesting. Really, really interesting stuff. Like, it's a shame. Like, we did all that research with it, and we do all this stuff with it. There's so many cool things that you can do with nukes. Aside, like literally, it's free energy for you, Jim. It's free energy. It's free energy. It's free energy, Jim. Energy, free. We're giving you energy. It's a free energy for you, Jim. I'll take 1 energy, please. It's really useful material. Like, I don't know why we don't use it more. I mean, I get it. There's proliferation. You don't want that falling into the wrong hands. You could do a lot of damage with it. I get it. A nuclear weapon still only realizes a fraction of its potential energy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, like I said, an application for the space program would be nuclear thermal. That's a great application. You could make... Oh, man. Like... Nuclear thermal engines, guys, wouldn't necessarily be like Star Wars or something, but it'd be close. It would be close. Project Orion? Nah, zero. Project Orion is stupid. That's a waste of time. Nuclear thermal's a much better use. I honestly think that nuclear weapons are like the stupidest thing that you can do with nuclear material. I'll be 100% real. It's so Bush League comparatively to like what you can do with nukes. Like, you could use a ball of uranium to level a city, or you could use a ball of uranium to power the city, the entire city. Like, it's Bush League stuff, man. It's like Bush League. It's easy to destroy things. That's what I'm getting at. It's easy to destroy stuff. It's easy to wreck things. It takes skill and it takes talent to build something. You know what I mean? That's a lot harder. Like, look at the SSDO, for instance. How quickly could the SSDO just obliterate itself into a billion pieces? It's easy to destroy that thing if I wanted to. It's tough keeping it in one piece. It's much harder to build it. That's why I think nuclear weapons are Bush League. It's all right. Great. You can superheat some fissile material. Good for you. Like, there's like so much better applications for nuclear material than nukes. Like, there's so much energy there. There's so much potential energy. See what I did? That even a power plant. A power plant is like, that's what you're using it. You're using that to heat steam. That's it? Oh, wow. Great. Real breakthrough, man. Like, dude, we could make, like, you could do so much cooler stuff with it. I wish we would do that. I mean, but then, like, nuclear thermal is a good way to do that. But then again, a nuclear thermal rocket is just heating hydrogen. It's like, oh, great, you heated hydrogen. Good for you, man. Nuclear powered car, not a good idea, Zero. See, like, that's part of the reason why nuclear is bad. Nuclear, like, is bad for, like, small applications like that. It's bad for, it's good where you need a lot of energy over time. Cars don't need that much. You don't need that much energy to go to the damn grocery store. An aircraft carrier needs a lot of energy to keep it going because it's, big and heavy. Water. But yeah, I always thought that nukes were like once I started kind of reading about it and how it works, I always thought nukes were stupid. It's such a Bush League application for nuclear material. Like, there's so many better things that you could do. But once again, it would be a little hypocritical to sit here and say that without acknowledging, well, guess what? The Manhattan Project put us light years ahead in terms of nuclear research. We went from Marie Curie sleeping on a pillow of like radium, right, to the nuclear bomb in less than 100 years. That is like That's a lifetime right there. That's like 4 or 5 lifetimes worth of research. So, like, once again, I understand why the Manhattan Project happened. Like, I get it. And, you know, you have to acknowledge that, you know, sometimes in searching for better ways to blow ourselves up, to blow each other up, we figure out better ways to civilization, I guess, is the right way to say that. Anyway. Yeah, testing, great. Yeah, that's cool. Good for them. I hope they do it. Wish them the best. Wasn't the USAF trying to make nuclear-powered bombers that could fly for years? Yeah, Willie. If you had a nuclear-powered bomber, you'd only have to refuel it like once every 20 years or something. Probably even more for an airplane, because I really don't think you need as much energy to make a big airplane fly as you would to make an aircraft carrier go forward. Yeah, air resistance is aerodynamics is a little bit easier to get around than hydrodynamic resistance, or hydro resistance, I guess. Turn the plane into a bomb. See, the problem is so, okay, we really want to do this at the beginning. We'll do this at the beginning. So, check this out. They tried this. They tried doing this. Convair, in the 50s, they tried making a nuclear-powered airplane. They did. The Air Force did. Convair did it. They had a nuclear reactor shoehorned into the back of a B-36. Now, the nuclear reactor wasn't powering the engines or anything. It wasn't powering the engines. This had regular old engines from a regular B-36. Nice B-50 in the background. But it did have a nuclear reactor in the back, and they were air cooling it. See the intake right there? They were air cooling the sucker. Yeah, it did happen. They did shoehorn a nuke in the back, but they figured out that, okay, so if you have a nuclear bomber like that, right? You have a nuclear bomber, and it can stay up there for years, right? So how do you get crews off of it? Well, I don't think that's an insurmountable problem. We do in-flight refueling all the time. I don't see why you couldn't just get a plane to dock to another plane. That's doable. The XF-85 proved that, a project from a similar era. The thing is that radiation shielding, the amount of radiation shielding you would need on this plane, the amount of rad shielding that you'd need on this plane to protect the crew, and notice that the reactor's in the back of the plane and the crew is all the way up at the front. The amount of rad shielding that you'd need, you'd kill the crew. You basically kill the crew. It was above acceptable levels for radiation exposure at the time, and still by today's standards. So yeah, they did try this. It does work. You can do it, sure, absolutely. But yeah, the amount of radiation shielding that you would need to get this to work would mean that you wouldn't really be able to carry many nukes. It's ironically a rocket problem here. The more time you spend, the more mass that you spend on your rocket or plane in this particular scenario, the less mass you have for payload or fuel or whatever. Now, in this case, you don't necessarily need fuel, but so, I mean, once again, it's possible. Maybe some modern material science could, overcome that problem. Actually, you know what would probably be a better application of that? A nuclear-powered dirigible. So, like a Hindenburg, not made out of explosive stuff, right? With a nuke in it, yeah, that could stay up there for a really long time. Yeah, you'd never have to come back down. You could just use helicopters to get to it. It'd be like a helicarrier from the Avengers. Yeah, Ponja, I'm with you on that one. And once again, like, don't get me wrong. That was just 2 seconds of thought. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that might work. While we were talking about this, is it fair to say that humans wouldn't have landed on the moon in the 1960s without Operation Paperclip? It wouldn't have been in the 60s, but we could have done it, Rocket Man, without them. We could have. It made it a lot easier, right? It made it a lot easier, no doubt. Yeah, having Von Braun there made things a little bit easier to accomplish, but We could have done it. We could have done it without them. You got to remember that von Braun. Von Braun's contributions to the space program, the American space program, or the contributions to American rockets, I should say, are as follows. So there's the what was it? Bumper, which was just basically an aggregate 4. There's the Bumper rocket. There's the Redstone rocket. There's the Jupiter. There's the Juno, Saturn 1, Saturn 1B, Saturn 5. Okay? Those are the rockets that he worked on. Von Braun went to work for the U.S. Army, the Army Ballistic Missile Agency, after Operation Paperclip. Okay? So, he went to work for the Army. And he developed missiles for him. That's what Redstone is. PGM-111 Redstone. It is it's an IRBM, intermediate range ballistic missile, just like the V2. In fact, the Redstone rocket is just an extended V2. It's literally the same thing. It's just a little bit longer, with cylindrical tanks instead of the weird, kind of stereotypical missile tanks from World War II, right? How about Ekranoplanes powered by nuclear? You would need a big plane, Squidman, but it's possible. Given the size of the reactor they would need to make being very small, it would refuel more frequently than a 20-year lifespan. Yeah, I suppose. So, Rocketman, that's only a small subset of rockets. Now, don't get me wrong. Saturn 1, Saturn 1B, Saturn 5, those are the ones that we use to get to the moon. However, Von Braun was working for the Army. All right? The Navy, the Army, and the Air Force were all developing their own ICBMs. They all had their own ICBM program and they still do to this day, for what it's worth, except for the Army. The Air Force and the Navy still have ICBM programs. But all those three branches of the military were working on nuclear weapons. And then the Marine Corps was over there going, what? Yeah, it's about accurate. So Von Braun was working for the Army on the Redstone, Jupiter C, and Juno. The Army was working on Titan. Not the Army. The Air Force was working on Titan, excuse me. Army was working on Redstone. The Air Force was working on Titan. Titan and Atlas, for what it's worth. The Atlas as well were Air Force things. And then the Navy was working on their Vanguard rocket, which failed miserably, which is really funny. Oops. Vanguard was an okay design, but there were a lot of different, all the branches. That feeds into a much bigger thing, Rocket Man. After World War II, everybody thought that nuclear exchanges were the future. That's how war is going to be fought. All right. So we were basically, the Army said, "Oh crap, one nuke from an Air Force plane can literally wipe out the entire Army. That would be really bad, right? So we need to show that the Army is needed. We need to show that the Army is really needed because we're about to get our freaking funding cut big time." And then the Navy said, "Oh crap, Operation Crossroads," which was a Navy experiment that they did in 1946. It's anytime you see footage of a nuclear blast, it's usually Operation Crossroads, like the one with the huge water mushroom cloud. Yeah. The Navy nuked a bunch of extra ships in 1946, and the Prunzeugen and the Nagato, which really sucks, but that's another story. And the Navy said, "Oh, frick, we are screwed. One nuke will literally take us out. We need to have our own nuclear capability. We need to have our own ICBMs." So there were other projects that the U.S. was working on that could have helped us get to the moon. There were other projects. Yeah, absolutely. To answer your question, could we have gotten to the moon in the 60s? No, probably not. No. We would have gotten there. We could go there. Gemini could go to the moon. The Air Force was actually planning it until the 1967 Space Treaty. There was options on the table to use Titan and Gemini MOL to be able to go to the moon because the Air Force wanted to put an air base on the moon. They wanted to put an Air Force base on the moon. But the 1967 Space Treaty said that, the moon isn't going to be claimed by any particular country, so there's no point in going there. There's no point in leaving a base there, and the Soviets said, "Yep, there's no point in doing that. We don't need to spend all that money." And then the U.S. did the same thing, and yeah, there you go. So could we have gotten there in the 60s without von Braun? No. No, probably not. Could we have gotten there eventually? Yeah, absolutely. In the 70s? Sure. Oh, yeah, in the 70s. Yeah, absolutely. Did you get a new cam? I changed the lighting, Akira. Thank you. How are you? Ohio, gozaimasu. Yeah, lots of ships survived both blasts, though. Yeah, that's right. Elika, you're right. But the ships were irradiated. They were basically useless. They were basically useless. What rocket would the Gemini MOL would have launched the Gemini MOL to the moon? Titan. Titan. Earth orbit rendezvous. Earth orbit rendezvous. And yeah, a Gemini module would have actually plugged into using an Agena target vehicle docking port. They wanted to put it on the front of a Centaur and then have the Gemini module dock to the Centaur. So it's Centaur, Agena target module, Gemini, and Gemini MOL, and they would have sent that to the moon. Yeah, the Air Force was going, they wanted to go there. But once again, the 67 Space Treaty said no. And the Gemini program, von Braun didn't really have much say in, because it was Titan. Actually, the funny thing is that the Saturn 1B was Titan's competition. Similar to like how Falcon 9 and Atlas 5 are competition. The Army, that we figured out in the 60s that it's better, instead of having strategic reconnaissance planes, which we still have, that it's better to just put a spy satellite up there and have the spy satellite just take pictures of things. That's what the Gemini MOL was supposed to be. The Gemini Manned Orbiting Laboratory wasn't a manned orbiting laboratory at all. It was a front. It was basically two guys with binoculars sitting in a space station looking down at things. Yeah, it's a true story. We figured out we could just put a camera up there instead. So contracts for heavy lift launch vehicles started coming through in the 60s. And the Army Ballistic Missile Agency wanted some of those government contracts to show, hey, we're the Army, we're still relevant. Even though one nuke could wipe out an entire battalion, we're still relevant. So von Braun came up with the Saturn 1, and the Air Force came up with Titan, Titan 2 and Titan 3, and they were fighting for contracts in the 60s. And the contract eventually went to Titan, and the Air Force used Titan all the way into the 2000s. And the Saturn 1B, they had no design for it, but they had no need for it. It was a very capable vehicle, and that's right around when NASA was first created in 1958. That's when basically the Army was like, yeah, whatever. It seems like by the late 50s, the Army was like, yeah, early 60s, we don't really need missiles. We'll still be relevant on the battlefield because people don't want to launch nukes at each other, so we don't need missiles. So they kind of said, nah, we don't need you anymore, von Braun. And then they transferred all of von Braun's work on Redstone, Jupiter, Juno, Saturn, and the Saturn 1 and moved it to NASA. So, and then NASA got a huge paycheck after Kennedy said we're going to go to the moon, and von Braun greatly expanded his work. So, yeah, Rocket Man, long story short, could we have gotten to the moon without them? Yeah, probably. It would have been on a delayed timeline, kind of like the Soviets, because Korolev had to teach himself. The Politburo, the Soviets basically gave him a A4 and said, yeah, you kind of know how this works, right? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, make another one, please. And he's like, oh, all right. You want me to make another one? Yes. Make another one or you die. You want to go back to labor camp? We can send you back there if you want. He's like, no, I'm good. I'll figure it out. What stopped the U.S. Army going was kind of like the British. They didn't bother to get to the moon either, except for it was no indigenous people to take over. Why bother? Well, that's what it ended up being. Passive aggressive. Well, yeah, that's basically what happened. Yeah, like Almaz. Almaz was a strategic response to do the same thing, short line. That's correct. What CV did the backflip? Saratoga, CV3, Luland. Yeah, did a backflip. The Nevada survived, yeah, because it's the best battleship ever made. What was more capable, though, Saturn 1 or Titan? They're both equally capable, short line. Like Falcon 9 and Atlas can put, most of the time, they can put payloads pretty much in the exact same spots. There might be a few case scenarios where Atlas would be preferable over Falcon or Falcon would be preferable over Atlas, but they were pretty much Titan 3 and Saturn 1 were pretty much evenly matched. Now, if you want my honest opinion, Saturn 1's better. Yeah, the Saturn 1 is a better lift vehicle, but that might be that I might be letting my bias towards NASA be clouding my judgment. Titan is very, very good. Titan's a very good launch vehicle. Yeah, very good. No one threatened him at the time. Stop it. It's a joke, Kem, but yeah, I gotcha. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, Korolev did a fantastic job. I mean, they did give him the V2. Like, okay, if you want to tell the non-joke version of it, they gave him a V2, and he made the R2 rocket, which was basically a V2. It was the same thing. He could duplicate, and then he made the R5, which was somewhere synonymous in function with a Redstone missile. They extended it, and then he made the R7. Elaboration, big elaboration. So, yeah, no, the do this or you die thing is not. It's a joke, Kim. I'm kidding. That's not really how that went down. Sergei Korolev was sent to a prison camp in the 1920s because Stalin thought he was a Western spy. I mean, that did happen, but yeah, they weren't like, build this or you die. They were like, here, have this. You know about this. Please make another one. And he did. That's more how it went down. I just found this insane. Uncut footage of a 1958 atomic blast. Yeah, we're talking about all kinds of good stuff here. Yep. Yeah, the Navy, that's interesting that you showed that footage, Balxy. Thanks to Glishko. Yeah, that if there was something that he had to compete with for his job, it was probably more against Glishko or Kolomene or anything. Or Kolomeni. I can never say his name right. Atomic blast and good stuff in one sentence. I mean, like I said, I can appreciate the amount of energy that gets pushed out in one shot, Steven, but I still say, and I will maintain this, that nuclear weapons are bush league for nuclear physics. That's bush league stuff. That's like saying, you know, oh, I can make a bomb and release a lot of energy all at once. Isn't that impressive? Or I can take that energy and harness it and force it out a nozzle and make something go into space. It's bush league. Yeah, I know. Tessa, we lost Dusty Hill, of course. Didn't an aircraft carrier get blown out of the water with a nuclear blast? Yeah. The Navy, the reason why... So, the Navy did 2 tests with nuclear weapons. They did 2 tests. The first test was the Able shot. The Able shot was an air blast nuke. So it was Fat Man. It was actually the third atomic weapon that they would have hit Japan with had they not surrendered was used in the Able shot. So they had a B-29, they dropped it, the B-29 did its thing, and the thing went... And it exploded above the water. And you know what? To be honest, that didn't really do much damage to the ships, per se. It just irradiated the hell out of them, and they didn't know that. They sent people into the ships and said, hey, go see if it's all right. And, yeah. Hopefully they had sunblock. At the very least. I know that's not how sunblock works. I get it. I was trying to think of something funny, all right? It was funny enough. You got the point across. So then they were like, okay, that didn't really do much damage, so how about a nuclear depth charge? So the Baker shot for Operation Crossroads, the Baker shot is the one that you always see pictures of. It's this picture right here. That's the Baker shot. You always see pictures of this. So what they did was they took another Fat Man and they put it on a landing craft and they cut a hole in the bottom of the landing craft and put a winch down and put it like 100 feet below the surface and then blew it up. That proved to be, a nuclear depth charge proved to be a lot lot more damaging. So these are all the target ships, right? There's the I think that's the Prunzeugen right there. Once again, shame. Yeah, it did a lot more damage. You could see in these pictures that the heat from the nuclear blast is burning the paint off of the ships. That's what all this dark smoke is. It's burning the paint off. That's how hot it is right there. But the crazy part about this is that, well, you see that right there? So that's the USS Saratoga with the aft end of the ship, because this is a shallow bay, right? This is at Bikini, or was it Quaj? I forget. Long story short, this is an atoll, so the water out there is not very deep, maybe 120 feet at best. Actually, it's probably less than that. I mean, it's very shallow in there. The aircraft carrier's aft is in the ground on the seafloor, and the bow of the ship is up there. They blew it up right underneath the carrier, and the force from the nuclear blast literally had the carrier do a backflip. And the Saratoga landed upside down. Yeah, it made an aircraft carrier do a backflip. The Saratoga, that ship right there. That one. You see the people on it? It's not a small ship. This is a Lexington class aircraft carrier. Not small. No, not small. That's a big aircraft carrier, even by today's standards. Is there video footage of that? Sure. Yeah, it flipped it. The nuke blew up the carrier, and this thing literally did a backflip. And it didn't land upside down so much as it kind of went over and went like this. And then it did survive, but that aircraft carrier flew. It's 888 feet long. So what's that in meters for the metric folks? That's 270 meters. It's a big ship. It made it do a backflip. Yeah, that's what and then that's when the Navy said, holy crap, we got a big problem. And then the Navy had the Vanguard rocket, and then the Navy was also working on other programs called the Regulus Missile. And the Regulus Missile was the start of, it was a cruise missile design, and the Regulus Missile was the start of cruise missile and ICBM launches from the submarines. That was the Navy's solution to being useful on the modern battlefield, having submarines that launch missiles. The Regulus missile at first was a missile that you'd have to launch, like the submarine would have to surface, you'd have to roll the Regulus missile out, fold the wings out, put it on a launcher, and then launch it, right? And then they went to surface-launched ICBMs, and then nowadays they have the stuff where they not flood the tubes, they launch it from underwater and the thing shoots out. Like, what are they using now? Trident 2s? Was there a live fire test on an ICBM? Yeah, of course. I downloaded Big Chungus from Kerbal X. I don't think the drain ports are attached to a fuel tank. I couldn't get the stuff to drain. You have to right-click on vessel and then hit the drain function. There's been, we tested ICBMs and stuff in the 40s and 50s, but no, there's the partial nuclear, there's the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, which was signed in the 70s. There's START 1 and START 2. Strategic Arms Limitation 1, Strategic Arms Limitation 2, and then in 1963, before both of those, President Kennedy signed the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty with the Soviet Union, meaning that you could only test a certain amount of nukes every year. And then by the 70s, you know, the arms race was basically spiraling out of control. Yeah, we were just... Turns out that, you know, making weapons is very profitable. So we just kept doing it. We tried to curtail it so we didn't make too many nukes. In the name of, you know, not blowing ourselves to smithereens. We still made a lot of them, though. Us and the Soviet Union. We still made a lot. And it wasn't just us. The Brits did. Chinese did. Still do. I mean, we still do too. The U.S. There's a huge contract that went to Northrop Grumman for rockets, and it wasn't for carrier rockets. It's for ICBMs to upgrade the ICBM fleet with modern solid propellant. Oh yeah, Northrop Grumman got a huge contract for that. It made the Omega contract and the NSSL contract look tiny. Don't forget the hydrogen bomb, oopsie. Yeah, that's Castle Bravo. That came a little bit different. That came a little bit down the road, Hellfish. But yeah, Teller. Yeah, Edmund Teller. Yeah. The guy that invented the hydrogen bomb. You got any grapes? Thanks for the raid. Do you know Lupnor? Yeah, I don't know what that means. I was more trying to think about the G's that carrier endured when it flipped. Oh, I don't know. What pisses me off about Operation Crossroads is that a lot of famous ships blew up in Operation Crossroads. That's the part that sucks. Here, check it out. So, like, there was a lot of just transport ships. It blew up a lot of, what is it, Liberty ships and a lot of Bogue carriers and stuff. There's just a lot of small ships, but also a lot of ships that were very famous. We blew those up too, instead of making them museums. Are they still there? The ships that sank, yeah. And also there were war prizes there too, which really does suck. A couple of aircraft carriers. Yeah, there was the Pronzeugen. Yeah, the Saratoga's still there. Yeah. The battleship New York. That's the sister ship to the Texas, which a version of that ship is still around. It's the oldest battleship around. Yeah, see, it doesn't necessarily sink ships. It's just nuclear blasts catch ships on fire, and fire is the worst thing that you could have for a ship. Fire is death for a ship. Ships having holes in the hull, that doesn't sink ships. Fire sinks ships. All day. Ask anybody that's in the Navy. Anyone that serves on a ship, a seagoing vessel in the Navy, is a firefighter. And there's a very, 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 very good reason for that. Fire destroys ships. It's, yeah, not good. But yeah, see, I'm trying to figure out, there were also other ships there. We had war prizes there. The Pronzeugen, which was the last, one of the only ships that the Kriegsmarine, that Germany used. That was one of the only ships left. The Bismarck is at the bottom of the ocean. Most of the other ships are at the bottom of the ocean. That was the only one left. And yeah, we blew that up. That ship's still around. It's still in the atoll. It's upside down, though. See? It's still there. It drifted ashore and capsized. Oh, the Indianapolis is terrible access. And then the Japanese battleship Nagato was there too. One of the only battleships that the Imperial that survived the war. Like, we got them as war prizes. We inherited them as war prizes, and yeah, we just blew them up, which kind of sucks, you know. And then that's my favorite ship. I could tell a whole story about the Nevada. The Nevada is insane. Read about that battleship, BB-36. My favorite battleship of all time. I like that ship more than I like the USS Massachusetts. But I like the Massachusetts because it's still around. The Nevada is not still around. Oh, nice, Forge. Why is the Nevada my favorite? The tests were needed and the ships used had honorable endings. Yeah. I guess. And once again, we'll get back into space news in a second. The reason why I like the Nevada the most is because it is quite literally the Terminator of battleships. This thing did everything. In the first half of the 20th century, it was everywhere. At every major naval battle almost. Like, not every major one, but this thing, the Nevada was made in 1917. Or no, 1912, excuse me. The contract was awarded, and it was launched in 1914, commissioned in 1916. It served in World War I. It was in Europe during World War I. I forget what it did there. So, listen to this. World War II is really where the Nevada comes into its own. All right? It was refitted a couple of times, right? So that's what it looked like when they rolled it out. See, it had these weird conning towers on it, but no anti-aircraft batteries, because anti-aircraft batteries weren't a thing during World War I too much, right? Nope. And then they refitted it with more anti-aircraft, and that's what it looked like. And if you notice where it is, that should give you a good indicator about how crazy this story is going to be. Yeah, Hellfish, I agree. Arizona went down because of a lucky hit. Something like that. So, I'll give you the quick gist of it. The Nevada was at Pearl Harbor. It sank at Pearl Harbor. But it didn't sink like the Arizona did. It was the only ship to get underway and get out of Pearl Harbor at Pearl Harbor. The captain ordered the ship out, and the ship went underway while Pearl Harbor was going on. And the ship started to get out of Pearl Harbor, and they couldn't control the flooding in time, so the captain beached the ship near the inlet to Pearl Harbor. He beached the ship, and they fought from there. The Nevada sank. It sank at Pearl Harbor. It was, that's it. It's beached and sunk. He beached the ship so it didn't sink completely. All right. The Nevada was at Pearl Harbor. It was fixed. It got bombed at Pearl Harbor. They fixed it. They refitted it, and they hot rodded it. And they gave it Iowa-class battleship targeting systems. They gave it a modern fire control system, and they gave it an Iowa-class anti-aircraft array. This has the same defense systems on board at the time as a South Dakota-class battleship or a Iowa-class battleship. They gave it the same defense array for secondary batteries. The primary batteries are a triple-barrel 14-inch and a double-barrel 14-inch front and rear, right? Or important bow and aft, excuse me. So they refitted it. And they basically hot rodded it. They modernized the whole thing. It made it into a modern battleship. The channel into Pearl Harbor is really shallow. Yeah, it was going to sink, so they beached it. Once again, they had to have, it was a one of a kind, because it was an old ship from World War I that they upgraded with World War II stuff, so it ended up looking like nothing else. After Pearl Harbor, it came back into commish a little bit later. And once again, this is the condensed version, okay? So just look. Check this out. They put it on Atlantic convoy duty, escorting ships across the Atlantic. And it ended up shelling targets at D-Day. Nevada supported forces ashore from the 6th to the 17th of June and on the 25th of June. During this time, she employed her guns against shore defenses in the Cherbourg Peninsula. Shells from her guns reached as far as 17 nautical miles, 20 miles inland in attempts to break up German concentrations and counterattacks, even though she was straddled by counter-battery fire 27 times, though never hit. Nevada was later praised for her incredible accuracy and fire support of troops. She shelled targets at D-Day, and then she shelled targets in southern France during Operation Dragoon. And then, after the Navy was no longer needed, she went back over to the Pacific and was at Iwo Jima, Okinawa, and mainland Japan. She shelled targets at Iwo Jima, supporting the Marines there. Shelled targets at Okinawa, supporting the Marines there again. And she was with the fleet when they sailed into Tokyo. I think she was with the ships. She was with the fleet that during the occupation of Tokyo Bay, right after World War II ended. She was there when the Japanese surrendered. Yeah, John, give me a second. Let me finish. I'm trying to do the condensed version, and if I get this done quicker, if I can not look at chat and not have people not say see last. So after that, After that, they were like, yeah, we don't need this ship. It's 50 years old at this point, right? Because it was made in 1912 or 1914 or something. And by needless to say that naval combat changed a little bit from 1914 to 1950, somewhere in there. Yeah, naval combat was a little bit different. So the Navy deemed her obsolete. And that's when the story picks up from what we were talking about. It was used as a target ship for the Able shot. It survived a nuclear blast. And then it survived another nuclear blast right after that. This thing got nuked twice. Didn't sink. Hey, Randy. Sup, dude? 3-month gift subscription courtesy of Sitherly. So after that, the Navy was like, we don't know what to do with this thing. It should have sank. So they used it for target practice. No, dude, that's not the end of the story. And I'll paraphrase this, but so they examined it after, and I'm kind of taking bits off of the Wikipedia page, but I know this story by heart. After she was thoroughly examined, the Iowa class battleship used it for target practice. They used Nevada as a gunnery target 65 miles southwest off the coast of Pearl Harbor. She survived a bunch of salvos from the Iowa 16-inch guns. Didn't sink it. Didn't sink the ship. Nope. A direct hit salvo from an Iowa class battleship. And keep in mind, like, the ship hadn't been hollowed out or anything. They couldn't do anything to it because it was irradiated. All they could do was just tow it around. So it was a fully working ship. It got direct hit by 16-inch guns. It didn't sink it. Didn't sink it. They kept firing at it, and kept firing at it, and kept firing at it. It didn't sink the damn thing. So they had to hit it with a torpedo. They finally hit the damn thing with a torpedo amidships, and it caused the ship to break in half. Well, not break in half, but it caused a hole in the hull and caused it to capsize, and it finally frigging sank. From BB61, that's correct. Yes, it was. Yeah, you could see there's a nice big hole right there in the hull, right? See it? Yeah, that's what torpedoes do. Torpedoes don't actually hit ships anymore. They blow up and cause cavitation underneath the ship. And they basically turn the ship temporarily into a bridge. So you have your ship, right? And you have water all right here. Our torpedo comes underneath it. It blows up, and it makes a huge air pocket underneath the ship. And the front of the ship is still floating, and the back of the ship is still floating, and the center is above air. So the ship literally crumples in half. Yeah, it breaks the keel. It breaks the back of the ship. Mm-hmm. That's what a modern torpedo does. Modern torpedoes don't hit the hull. They blow up underneath. So she survived that. Salvos from an Iowa-class battleship. Yes. Yes, Forge, that. And then they finally nailed it with a torpedo, and that finally sank the damn thing. That ship is literally the Terminator. It will not die. It didn't die. It didn't die. It was everywhere. Tried to sink it during Pearl Harbor. Didn't work. Tried to nuke the damn thing. Didn't work. Twice. They tried to blow it up with another battleship. It didn't work. They couldn't sink it. Freaking the Navy's like, I don't know what to do with this thing. What do we do with it? It's still there. Like, still alive. So they finally had to hit it with a torpedo after it got hit with a couple of salvos from an Iowa. 16-inch guns. 2,700-pound shells. That's each one of the shells from the Iowa. One of the shells, and keep in mind the turret has 3 barrels. Right? It's a 2,700-pound shell. That's the size. That weighs as much as a car. And it still didn't sink the damn thing. They couldn't sink it. Look, freaking couldn't sink the damn thing. Look, the shells would bounce off the stupid thing. Freaking one shell went in here. You can see where it kind of, maybe it came in over here and exploded out the side. But look, there's a bunch of bullet holes in the damn thing. There's bullet holes in the ship. It still didn't sink. And I'll tell you, if all that wasn't a selling point for why it's my favorite ship, get this. It was built at the Four Rivers Shipyard in Quincy, Massachusetts. That's a boat. Only a boat that stubborn could be built by people from Boston. That's the only way. That's the only way you could make a ship that goddamn stubborn and have it actually make sense. It was made in Quincy, Massachusetts, man. Your battleship from Boston. Yeah. Only we could make a ship that much that's that damn stubborn. That literally it won't get sunk by the enemy. The enemy won't sink it. The enemy can't sink it. They tried. And then even when you try to sink it, it's still like, nah, I don't want to do that. The Nevada is Chad tier. Chad tier battleship, right? Where is it now? Well, it's at the bottom of the ocean in Hawaii somewhere. Shame. The Nevada is in there, Zonku. Yep. Mm-hmm. Shame. That is one of the most Chad tier battleships ever. It's right up there with, like, in my opinion, it's up there with the Prince of Wales, the Rodney, the Bismarck, the Iowas. What other battleships got their trash beaten out of them? There's more. Then the Yamato. Yeah, I mean, the Yamato didn't... They sent the Yamato on a suicide mission, which really sucks, but... Oh well. Yeah, it's right up there with Chad tier battleships. It doesn't get cooler than that. It's not like it could have been a museum. It got nuked twice. Well, Zonko, even after the war, that should have became a museum ship. Damn, dude. Like, I understand if you want to nuke a bunch of Liberty ships, who cares? But that thing, man, it was at Pearl Harbor. It was at frigging Pearl Harbor. You're gonna blow it up? Again, my last pertains. When does it not? Hey, Grapes gifted a tier 2 sub to Hoagie Hero. Hey, thanks, Grapes. Even today, we use old ships to test our weapons on and train with. Being sunk as a target is regarded as a better fate than scrapping, and a lot of vets would rather see their ships sunk than turned into a museum with kids running around on them with ice cream cones in a gift shop. Enjoying your content, but unfortunately have to step away. Alright, King. KSP will happen in an hour. Yeah, the Nevada deserved to be there. The Nevada deserved to be a museum ship, if anything. But John, I mean, if you want my honest opinion, every class of ship that gets made should be preserved in some way, shape, or form. So we have a living example of that ship. So if I had it my way, and I understand people are going to be like, oh, but EJ, what about the money? EJ, the money, you don't have the money to do that. Yeah, okay, sure we don't. Every class of ship should be made into a museum, not a museum necessarily for tourists. I mean, even that's a secondary function. But every single class of ship should be kept as an example. Like the lead class of a ship should be kept as an example to demonstrate why you were trying to do that. The blueprints will only teach you so much. And, you know, like I know people are going to say, oh, the Navy doesn't have the money to do that, EJ. Yeah, okay, sure, because you're an expert on fiscal government spending, right? So, yeah, I mean, I personally think that every class of ship during the war should have been saved, at least one version of it, so it could be used, because you never know when you're going to need that style of ship again. For instance, the Zumwalt class destroyers, the DDG-1000s that the Navy is, well, kind of was using and now it kind of isn't, but you get what I'm trying to say. That uses a very old school style hull for radar signature purposes or whatever. But EJ, 30 billion. Yeah, okay. How hard is it to go take a ship and put it in a stupid dry dock? Animal equivalent of, yeah, okay, that's a cat. As much as I love the Big E and would like to walk her decks again, I wouldn't want it to be seen as a museum. People have bled and died for it. Well, the Arizona has no problem working as a museum ship, John, so what the heck? Anybody that spilled blood to save a ship, that ship is it's a grave site. So you best be being respectful. Nice, Tessa. And, you know, like, once again, these ships shouldn't be preserved as just a museum. They should be preserved to be able to understand the architecture from the time and be used to teach people about naval architecture. Having that living, breathing history there, it's the same thing as a museum, but having that living and breathing history there can be used to teach future naval architects about why it's important to build ships in a certain way. Because, look, guys, if I sat here and did just a podcast about Venture Star over and over and over and over and over again, and how the pad works and whatever, and we didn't have Kerbal to be able to visualize what's going on, would people understand it as much? Hell no. Not a chance. There's no freaking way. There's no way. There's not a chance. If I sat here and tried to explain stacking operations for a rocket and didn't have Kerbal to be able to visualize it and show it to you, would people understand it as well? There's not a chance in hell. No. Now, once again, it shouldn't just be about visual learning. Visual learning and seeing the stuff work is one part of learning. The other part is doing the book stuff, and that's the annoying stuff that nobody wants to do, but that's the hard part, right? But these ships should be preserved to teach future engineers about why they did it and where they went, because the biggest why the ships were built that way and why they were even implemented in the first place. Having a living, breathing example of that is a good way to pass on the meta, if you will. Understand? It passes the meta on correctly. Meaning, if you learn and understand why they lengthened the barrels on the 16-inch guns between the South Dakota class and the Iowa class, because they are longer. They're longer by 80 inches. Why would they do that? Well, they did. There's a very good reason why they did that. That's the difference between the Cal 45 Mark 6, a 16-inch Cal 45 Mark 6, and a 16-inch Cal 50 Mark 7 16-inch gun battery. There's differences. Why did they do that? Well, the best part about that story is that we have both of those. We have a 16-inch Cal 45 Mark 6. There's 6 of them. We have 6 of them, and then we have 12 of the 16-inch Cal 50 Mark 7 batteries, too, because there's 2 South Dakota-class battleships and 4 Iowa-class battleships around, so those can be studied. HMS Victory launched in 1765. It's still in service with the British Navy. That's nice. Arizona is a monument and a solemn place. It can't be compared to the likelihood of Intrepid or Yorktown. Yeah, sure. You're still on about making the ship a museum with kids playing on it, etc., etc. I'm talking about preserving it so we can understand the naval meta. So something like, I don't know, say, a Saturn V. We do have prototypes and we do have flight articles of the Saturn V, but having that meta being passed on at the time could have maybe, made it easier in the future to make a super heavy launch vehicle. It's not just the knowledge passing on, it's the physical implementation of said knowledge that's what needs to be preserved. And having living, breathing ships, not even as a museum, having living, breathing ships that the Navy maintains of each design, illustrating the design and construction of the ship and how it was put together, could be used to train future naval architects in the future and make a better ship. Muzzle velocity, it's accuracy. It's a gun, guys. They made the barrel longer. Straight up. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a bad example because they just made the barrel longer to give increased range. You got to remember that the Iowa, those types of battleship guns on the Iowas and the South Dakotas use powder kegs. They don't use a shell casing. So they load the shell into the breech, and then they put powder kegs behind it. How many powder kegs you put behind it and how much powder you put behind the round changes its muzzle velocity and changes the range. You could either have like 3 powder kegs behind a round and your range would be severely reduced, but if you shot that up high, right, it would come back down with really high velocity and pen a ship from the top, if that's what you wanted to do. That's hard to do. Or you could put a lot of powder behind the shell and shoot it right at it and have it go right through, depending on what kind of ship you were going up against. They did that on purpose. That and making a shell casing that's the size of a smart car doesn't seem like a wise move. All right, Randy. Nice, Motor Kid. Iowas are beautiful ships, man. All right, anyway, we can get back to space news here. The Germans use shell casings on the Bismarck? They would. They would, Ananas. Of course, because of course you did. Of course you did. They probably wanted to just show off how big of a bullet they were using. It's so German. It's so German. Yes, we are going to use a shell casing, and the bullet would be the size of an automobile. How do you move it around? It doesn't matter. It's a bigger bullet. Look at it. Look at how big it is. Yeah, you guys would do that. Correct, Quark. You have to pass on that knowledge. It's not just having a physical representation. It's having a physical representation and having the people there that built it explain it. That's very important. It's very important that we progress as a species to understand how we got here, not just in terms of mechanical engineering, naval architecture, or aerospace engineering, but it's important to learn how we got here so we can help make a better tomorrow. That's very, very important to understand. I actually watched that YouTube channel, Jim. Their curator is cool. The Battleship New Jersey has a YouTube channel, and their curator posts videos on it all the time about different things with the New Jersey. It's actually really awesome. He couldn't contain all the powder, though. I think it was to properly seal the breech. It wasn't connected to the shell. Yeah. I wouldn't want to see a shell casing for the Schwer Gustav. I don't think they used the shell casing for those Winter Scythe. I think they used powder kegs. It is an amazing channel, Hoagie. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, the space news kind of turned into naval architecture news, but hey, I like doing this. This is fun. I like, sometimes it's cool to switch it up like that. Not very nice to mock us Germans after most of you have gone to sleep. Squidman, I can't help but notice how you didn't deny how you would make a battleship gun use a shell casing. You didn't deny it, though, did you? You didn't deny it. I said you would do that, and you're like, oh, funny, not very nice to mock us. But you didn't say that you didn't do that. You did. You did. You know what you did. You know what you did. You just wanted to make the bullet look bigger. Why would be? Because we can. That's a good reason. It worked for us, so why choose a different system? It's not as efficient. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just messing. But what if we made the bullet pointier? Starship does look like a big silver bullet, doesn't it, Enko? Well, thanks for sharing the interesting information. Maybe not space news, but still is very informative. Nice to have a change of pace. Yeah, it's fun. We still have about 40 minutes left of space news, and I'm trying to time space news to end when the poll ends for KSP, which should be in about 40 minutes. But yeah, a little bit of naval history there. Last for funny, okay? That reminds me. Oh, yeah, Tesla. Oh, jeez, yeah. Oh, man. A German engineer is so efficient that you can drive from Berlin to Warsaw in just one tank. Ooh. Anything new with Starship Super Heavy? Oh yeah, Thailand. Yep. Starship doesn't have a boat tail, though. I see what you did there. Boat tail. All right, Geeson, you had a tip in there, too. This one is called 16-inch naval guns. What is this? Yep, okay. Everything is awesome. Everything is awesome when you get a new nose. Poland's in an hour and 41 minutes. Well, I'll time it for 7 o'clock and we'll be able to see it from there. Close the motorway a couple miles in both directions. Yeah. A lot of ordnance was dropped. All right. I think it was created with an additional hour or two from what you intended. I tried to get the poll to end at 7, Drummer, because I couldn't get it and somebody else probably put it in. We probably extended it to 8. But I'm targeting 7 for Kerbal, so we have 40 minutes to get through the rest of the space news. The poll right now that's going on with KSP is not to cancel or keep going with the SSTO. It's a kind of an extra week for the deadline, and the reason is because to take into account the fact that the new version of Kerbal came out during the last kind of development deadline cycle for the SSTO that we had, and I lost about a week of progress because I was trying to figure out the new version of KSP. Yeah, so this basically extends the deadline by a week, that poll. So if you think I deserve some time off because there was a game-breaking physics that meant I couldn't launch my mission mode rockets because all of them are coupled via docking ports, and they essentially broke the structural aspect of the docking ports with the new version of KSP, you know, vote on it. If you think, no, that's bullcrap, stuff happens, EJ, deal with it, vote on that too. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. But yeah, it's for extending the deadline. Not extending the deadline, but adding an additional week. No rep penalty, no monetary gain here. So that's kind of where we're at. Anyway, let's go over to the Russian news here. I should have... Alright, let's see what we got. Let's go over to the Russian news over here. Hang on 1 second. Dear Kerbal Congress, due to an update to fundamental laws of our universe, I hereby request an extension program deadline. Yeah, Vasi, I feel bad doing it because this happens every goddamn time. It's always something. And if it keeps, I'm telling you, if every deadline always has something happen, like a rocket launch or a new version of Kerbal, well, you don't have to worry about that one, do we? Happening, then I'm not sure if I want to keep, you know, I'm just going to take the rep hit if this keeps becoming a thing. But anyway. You coming up with excuses? Yeah, I don't want to make excuses, Da Vinci. I don't want to keep doing it. This one really did screw me, though. Like, that one, to be fair, it really, I could not do... Alright, so let me put it this way. The reason why I even bothered with this is because, guys, even if you didn't decide to do the SSTO, even if we kept using the Freedom rockets, I still wouldn't have been able to launch anything. The Freedom rocket still would have been susceptible to this problem. So that's why, that reason alone is the only reason why I even brought it up. Because it was a game, not having the docking ports have auto struts go through them so they can twist, it literally ruins my mission mode save. Yeah, it ruins it. That's why I rolled back. So, yeah, that's why. That new version of Kerbal, I wouldn't even if you didn't choose the SSTO, even if we chose a heavy lift launch vehicles or keep going with the Freedom rockets, it still would have hindered me. So that's the only thing. That tells me that SSTO development was pretty much on time. I just was delayed by a week due to problems out of my control. Now, one could make the argument that if mission mode is supposed to reflect real life, well, real life does happen in the world. No plan ever goes correct, and I do understand that as well, which is why I'm kind of indifferent how this poll goes. If the poll goes one way for no extension, you guys vote to cancel it or keep it going. And I take the rep hit and we go. If it doesn't, then I don't know, man. It's still going to be close even with another week. We got to get that pad figured out. But once again, we're playing Kerbal at the top of the next hour. So let's get into the Russian news and go from there. So, yesterday, Russian cosmonauts Oleg Novitsky and Petr Dubrov trained to dock the Nauka module manually using the TORU system. This docking mode will be used in case of a malfunction of the automatic Kurs docking system. Yep, the Kurs system is derived from Soyuz in progress, so the Nauka module is using a very similar docking mechanism. It's funny how literally not a single space project in the real world can finish without delays either. Art once again imitating life right there. It's true, dude. Yeah, this stuff is complicated. It's complicated, man. That's one thing that I'm noticing. It doesn't really matter the project. It could be Falcon 9 with Dragon, could be SLS. The harder the difficulty is, take how long you think it's going to be and times it by 1.5. So if you think it's going to take a month, it's going to take a month and a half. If you think it's going to take 3 months, well, guess what? It's going to take 6 months. And once again, with how I engineer stuff in Kerbal, I'm not even going into the full nitty-gritty math. I try to balance it between math and having some fun in KSP, right? If I went full math, this would take even longer. But it would get us a more accurate test. But once again, that's the game that a real engineer would play. You have to design it good enough, and you have to design it by this point to be good enough, right? That's how real engineering works. If you want to go work in the AE industry, you don't design the best that you can. You design something that's good enough. That's a lesson that gets taught in engineering courses all the time. Do not design the best thing. Design what you need. So, it does imitate it. It's kind of funny. 4.5, not 6. Oh, yeah. Great. Yeah, math and stuff.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
New chat would pick up on that math fail. Yeah, you picked up on the math fail, and great. Yeah, I probably should get my math right, but also at the same time, you completely missed the point. Congratulations. You being facetious about things made you learn less. Good call. All right, next news. All right. At 16:43:07 Moscow time, a single pulse correction of the Nauka module's orbit was carried out by the correction and rendezvous engine No 1. Number 01. No 1. I'm kidding. Joke. I know that's number. I talked to the Mission Control Center, from the Mission Control Center with our crews on the ISS, wish the astronauts successful work tomorrow. The crew is in good health and spirits, ready to dock Nauka to the station. Cool. Wish you the best of luck on Nauka. Thank you very much. Is that what that says? Yep, okay. And then Dimitri says, Spasibo. Katya is saying, good luck to everyone, the cosmonauts in Mission Control Center and Nauka itself. Sweet! Apparently Ship 20 is getting 2 of the engines from SN-15, RC-61 and RC-66. Cool. You say it all the time, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Any idiot that can bring a design that can stand. An engineer designed something to barely stand. That's right. Yeah, make it good enough. It needs to be good enough. Now, see, one could say that the thing about that, Staples, is that, hey, Pruffles, 53-month resub. Thanks, man. The thing about that is, what's good enough? What is good enough for a bridge to stand up? What's good enough for a space shuttle's fuel tank to not blow up, right? What's good enough? Well, that depends on what you're doing. So, good enough can change. It can change. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. That's what makes this stuff so difficult. There's no, kind of universal standard for good enough. It depends. That's why this stuff is so ridiculously difficult. Alright, anyway, so Nauka's looking to get to the station tomorrow at about 9 a.m. Eastern time in the US. I'll be here. I want to see that. It's not every day you get to see a new module docked to the space station like that. So I'm going to be here for that. Floating disk, space. Okay. Rocket carbon fiber reinforced plastic rocket tanks have been oh, that's cool. Some material science research from Orion, or from the ESA. Hey, that's cool, man. Yeah, we'll put that video up in a second. The Ariane 5 stuff floating. That's really neat. The umbilical detach is pretty rad. All right. So, little bit of new news over here. This is coming from Andrew Jones. Andrew Jones reports he tracks China's space program. Andrew can translate the stuff, which is why I usually go to him if I need to learn something about China's space program here. Let's see. A first engineering prototype of the YF-90 stage combustion cycle 220-ton thrust Hydrolox engine for the second stage of Long March 9 has been completed by CALT and the Academy of Aerospace Propulsion Tech. It's stage combustion, but what kind of stage combustion? Fuel rich. Fuel rich? That looks to be a fuel rich, I think. Actually, it's hard to tell. It's weird. The inlets are the same diameter, so no doubt propellant probably comes from up here and up here, but actually that could be full flow. But the engine isn't completed in this picture. It's missing a piece right there. There's a part of this turbine assembly missing. Tower is complete, one step closer. I have that actually open over here. Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. So get this karma crap off my TV. Yeah, well, John, it's good to understand what everybody else is doing. Situational awareness and understanding where you are versus your buddies is a good metric for success. Interesting. So there's a pre-burner right here. And see, usually you can tell with a Hydrolox engine, you can tell what is what because the diameters are very different. You can run LOX through a much smaller line than hydrogen. Hydrogen is usually a bigger line. Nice, Shy. Yeah, I wish, dude. That's what the 3-letter gangs are for. Yeah. Couldn't you technically run fuel-rich or oxidizer-rich even on full flow stage combustion cycle? You could do either one, Synerd. What I'm trying to do is figure out what it is. So, like the shuttle engine ran fuel-rich. They ran fuel-rich and they used the nozzle as a heat exchanger to help stage the propellants for the fuel, to help stage the fuel. And the oxidizer basically just turbo pump. And they had a tap off for the liquid oxygen for staging that. They'd heat up the hydrogen and then they'd blow it up and then they'd put it in there. The Russians use an oxygen-rich stage combustion cycle because they're using kerosene right instead of hydrogen. Kerosene isn't cold, so they need to use the liquid oxygen to keep stuff cool. So they have a stage combustion with liquid oxygen instead of liquid hydrogen. Raptor has both of them. I'm trying to figure out what this one is. It looks to be fuel rich just from these inlets and stuff, but it could be full flow. I'm not sure. AJ, I had a sad, oh geez, Dan, I don't want to talk about it. Dan, I don't want to talk about it, man. I don't want to talk. Nope, didn't happen. Dan, it didn't happen. Neil Peart's still alive. Eddie Van Halen's still alive. Dusty Hill is still alive, all right? It's 2021, man. I can bury my head in the sand and think whatever the hell I want. And you can't judge me for it. Okay? All right? That's how this works. All right? No. Nice, Panta. They're all hanging with helmets. It's all good. No. No, they're still alive. I can believe whatever I want. Okay? Nope, you can't judge me for it. Nope, 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 nope. Now, Elvis is not dead. He just went home. Oh, damn. This sucks, dude. It sucks. This timeline blows. The only thing good about this timeline is space, man. No, that's not true. That's not true, but... Are those googly eyes right there? They look like googly eyes. Anyway, he says it's a stage... Andrew says it's a... Andrew says let me read this again. 220 twin thrust hydrolox engine for the second... It's a YF90 stage combustion cycle. Interesting. I wonder if they're using an oxygen-rich stage combustion cycle with hydrogen, because the YF90 is derived from the YF77. According to the Wiki article, it's fuel rich. That's what I'm coming down from. Arc. This thing, that's a pre-burner, and the inlet on the pre-burner right here is big. So that tells me it's fuel. So that means that this is the LOX turbo pump over here, and that's the hydrogen turbo pump. And it looks like they're using... So, no, that can't be right. That can't be right because there's a tap right here. There's a tap off the turbine machinery that goes down, and it goes into the nozzle, which means this nozzle has milled copper channels. And then the fuel flows up the nozzle and then into this pipe and into the burner, which means it's not going into the pre-burner. That's interesting. Yeah, it's weird design. I don't understand what this is trying to do. But hey, I mean, if it's fuel rich, that's what you'd want for a hydrolox engine. You'd want to run fuel rich to help keep the nozzle cool. Rafts link, engine diagram. Let me see. Let me take a look. Yeah, see how the inlets on the two turbo pumps are different diameters? Yeah, one's for the big one is for hydrogen, the small one is for liquid oxygen. Okay, hydrogen, low pressure hydrogen turbo pump, low pressure oxidizer turbo pump. That looks a lot like the shuttle engine. Actually, yeah, I mean it looks like a and once again, I'm not saying it's a copy, like spare me. It looks like it's somewhere halfway between a J2 and a shuttle motor. Kind of like an RS-68, kind of, but also not at the same time. Interesting. Interesting. Only one pre-burner. Yeah, I mean, it's fuel rich. It's fuel rich stage combustion. It's not full flow, so there would be only one pre-burner. Yep. If the arrows are to be relieved, the fuel goes down the nozzle, not up. Yeah, I didn't have... Yeah, so it goes... Oh, that's weird, man. It does have milled channels, though. That looks like milled copper channels. Similar to, like, Raptor or something. I mean, a lot of engines use milled copper channels nowadays. Then it goes up. So they're exchanging... The propellants go in a circle. That's not how that... Wasn't the SSME fuel-rich stage combustion cycle? It had two pre-burners. It has two power heads, Green. One pre-burner for fuel. I don't know my pick because I'm in the future, bro. Stream delay and stuff, dude. I can't afford it. Shut up. See, okay, I'm getting a little confused here because you have hydrogen going in and you have a tap off off the low pressure fuel turbo pump, and that goes through the nozzle, right? It goes into the nozzle. That's what this pipe is right here. It goes into the nozzle. It pumps the fuel in. The hydrogen goes up the copper channels in the engine, and then it pops out here. It pops out. Oh no, it goes in up here, goes down, and then it goes out, right? And it goes back to the low pressure fuel turbo pump. Why that's not how that works. Am I stupid? Am I missing Raph? Am I missing something here? That's not how you. I need to look at a shuttle engine because now I'm really confused. Okay, of course, EJ found the most potato quality image ever. Thank you. Green, I guess you could call it a pre-burner, but that's a... Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you have double pre-burners, but see, that's not... It's the power head, dude. Like, if you're fuel rich, you need a pre-burner for the fuel. And in this case, the pre-burner for the fuel, the nomenclature is different, dude. You're right. There is a pre-burner there for it, but the nomenclature is different. What this thing does is you have your same thing. You have a low pressure fuel turbo pump right here, and it's a tap off, right? So the low pressure, the fuel goes in, and the fuel going in here goes into the pre-burner, and the pre-burner, some of the energy from the pre-burner is used to spin a turbine, right? And then there's a tap off the high pressure fuel turbo pump. Some of that fuel from the most of the fuel from the turbo pump goes into the pre-burner and goes through the manifold into the main injector or combustion chamber. And then some of it taps off in here and they exchange heat with the nozzle, same thing. And then that goes back, and most of that, some of it goes up here and gets dumped into the pre-burners, and then whatever's left over cools the rest of the nozzle and cools part of the combustion chamber, and then that hydrogen gets so heated up it turns to gas, right? And it spins the turbo pump, and then that goes right back into the manifold and goes out. You wouldn't see, that's where I'm getting confused, because this doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't send you wouldn't send hydrogen down into the channels and then back up into the turbo pump. And this diagram must be different. I'm not understanding something here. That makes no sense. Or maybe the image is intentionally flawed? Yeah, Nighthound, it could be. Wait, when the hydrogen is combusted, it's in gas form? Yeah, well, what do you think the staging cycle does? So you have liquid hydrogen going here. The liquid hydrogen cools the nozzle. It turns to gas. That gas spins the turbine, right? And then it comes down here through the low pressure oxidizer turbo pump, and it spins that turbine too, which spins the turbo pump. And then some of it from there, it'll go into the pre-burner and get ignited, and there's a LOX injector over here. Like, think of it like this, okay? These are two rocket engines, two tiny rocket engines. These are two tiny rocket engines that are shooting their exhaust into a bigger rocket engine. It's kind of like that. It's more like jet engines. It's more like jet engine exhaust going into a rocket engine. That's kind of what a staged combustion cycle does, but it's a good way to visualize it, but not a good way to explain it. Is this channel interested in UFOs? I mean, Coyote, we generally kind of deal with the more vanilla space stuff, but UFOs exist, dude. Absolutely. Dude, You want to know what, man? Like, half the time the stuff that people see up in the sky are just satellites. And I'm not just saying like, oh, it's just all satellites. But if you see stuff like go around in the air that kind of takes left-hand turns, all you're seeing is a satellite that's reaching the top of its orbit and coming back down. That's it like 70% of the time. The other 30%, dude, I don't know. I have no freaking clue. If I knew, I'd probably be in prison somewhere, right? Like, if I knew exactly what all that stuff was, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be streaming on Twitch. You know what I mean? Like, the thing to understand at the end of the day is that space is a dirty place, dude. It's a dirty place. You know, we look at space and we just think it's just a big, wide open area. No. There's all kinds of stuff floating around in there. Up there, I should say. It's kind of like the ocean. You know, when you sit on a beach and look at the ocean just looks like a bunch of water. Does that mean that that's what it is? No. There's all kinds of seaweed, fish, sunken ships. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Space is the same way. There's no sunken ships in space unless someone has a TARDIS somewhere that I don't know about, which once again could be, maybe. Who knows? All right. Let me read what you said again. In 2008, a friend and I saw something pretty incredible. The most unexplainable thing I've ever seen. No joke. I'm not some kind of jerk. It was in July 2008, and I was in Southern California at the border of Orange County and the Los Angeles border. Okay. What did you see? I know, but what I saw was during the day. I don't know what this says, but I can tell you what I saw. Have at it. You can see satellites during the day, Coyote. If you were on the ground, it sounds like you didn't see a satellite. You probably saw something else. I mean, if the Saratoga had been in a slightly different place, we might have a Navy vessel in space. You'd need a lot of nukes to get that thing up there, Synerd. But you know what the messed up part is? You could do it. And there's all kinds of stuff up there, guys. Like, that's what we got to understand. Space is a dirty place. There's rocks, there's ice, there's dirt, there's spacecraft, there's junk spacecraft, there's wrenches, there's gloves, there's all kinds of crap floating around up there. That manhole cover is somewhere. Heck, there's even Apollo spacecraft still floating around up there. There's a couple of Saturn V third stages floating around the sun. Hell if we know where the hell those are. Washers, poop. Yeah, space is a dirty place, dude. Even if we weren't there. Still a dirty place. So, Coyote, what did you see? Let's see. Let's see if we can figure it out for you. I don't know. There's no guarantees, dude. I don't know everything, man. Maybe. Don't forget the Roadster. Yeah, there's a Tesla up there. That's right. Apparently there's a lunar module ascent stage up there too from one of the Apollo test flights. Snoopy is still up there from Apollo 10. We just don't know where that is. There's poop on the moon. That's right. Yeah, there is. In nice bags. We should go get it for science. Speaking of which, I've seen with the naked eye several times satellites going south-north, but couldn't find a match on heavens above. Could they be spy satellites? Yes. Yeah, of course they are. Of course they could be. Dude, there is all kinds of spy satellites that are frigging gigantic, dude. And I won't elaborate, but there's a certain style of satellite. You can Google it if you want. I'm not going to talk about it too much. There are spy satellites that are huge. One of them has like at least, I mean, I don't know this for sure, to be honest with you. Let me just be very clear. I don't know that one for sure, but supposedly there's a type of satellite that it's it launches into space and it looks like this, and then it folds out and becomes a gigantic parabolic antenna. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff up there, dude. KH series are the size of a Greyhound bus. I mean, why do you think they needed to make the space shuttle's payload base so big? Apollo 11's lunar ascent stage could still be in orbit. Oh, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, that Scott video was sick, dude. There's all kinds There's all kinds of stuff, dudes. Heck, W first, the Nancy Roman satellite. That's a spy satellite. The NRO just decided they didn't need them anymore for whatever reason. You know what? I don't even want to know why. You mean the Orion satellite? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it could be the Orion satellite. I don't know. I want to hear what that guy saw. I'm waiting. I haven't seen him type anything since. I mean, I'm interested. I'm interested to know. The government's got him. The Orions were sick for the time. It's a heck of a signal intelligence weapon, Zonku, if you ask me. Whoever designed that probably came up with the freaking idea for Transformers, dude. Don't feed the trolls. He said he wasn't trolling, Staples. Look, Staples, like, I still have trouble reading inflection through text, but there are certain things that people say where I can tell that they're kidding or not. You know? So, I'm interested if he has anything, but I'm gonna, those Russian space mirror sats, I saw a video on them recently. I don't know much about the spy satellites from the US or anybody else, my pick. I assume it's some enemy of the state stuff, and they could probably see me reading the newspaper if I read newspapers. They could probably see a quarter sitting in the middle of the road, or a penny that someone dropped. Those things are really kind of marvels of optical technology. Is James Webb going to be solely for the exploration, or do we think it's a spy satellite as well? It's solely for exploration, Geek. Why do you think it costs so much? Because with other observation satellites like Hubble, they had a blueprint to go by. Yeah, it's pretty damn cool, Bravo. That's for sure. Well, the guy hasn't said anything, so I'm going to keep going with the space news. And Geek, yeah, where James Webb is going, it's going to be on the other side of the moon, so yeah, that's pretty unlikely. The idea was to increase the yield in big farms by keeping light on farms and towns for longer after dark, but it didn't get enough funding to get to the final stages due to Soviet Union stuff. Theoretically, could you point Hubble at work? Could you point Hubble at Earth? Yeah. The image would be blurry. So, Hubble is kind of, it's like, okay, I like to joke that it's a spy satellite pointing in the wrong direction. If you really want to know technically, it's not. It's not a spy satellite. It's a really hot-rodded spy satellite. The reason is because spy satellites, the optics on a spy satellite are really only designed to see something maybe 300-400 miles away, because they're looking down at Earth. Hubble is designed to see stuff that's a lot further away. So don't think magnifying glass, think sniper scope. So Hubble is not a spy satellite pointed in the wrong direction, per se. It is a heavily modified keyhole satellite that's pointed in the wrong direction, to the point where it's not even the same. It's not even the same thing. That's how much Hubble is modified, because if it was the same thing, why the hell would we know about it? See what I'm talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Is that why the mirror was installed backwards? They didn't install the mirror backwards, Katra. The mirror wasn't ground correctly. You know why? Because the guys that were grinding the mirrors for those keyhole satellites were used to grinding nearsighted. They got the prescription wrong. If anybody wears glasses, you know what I'm talking about. They literally got the prescription wrong. Yeah, that's what happened with the Hubble. Because it was a one-off thing. They were just making nearsighted satellites, and they needed to make a far-sighted satellite. It was a one-off thing, and they didn't get it right the first time. Wasn't there unaccounted for deformation from the gravity on Earth? Probably, Kaz. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the details too much, but I only... With Hubble, I only know the gist of it, dude. I try not to go on deep dives about spy satellites, man. Because, yeah, it's just probably better that way. That's why I don't really mess with ICBM stuff either. I like the rockets that go up into space and stay there. Coyote, so I told people here and there a few years, but I almost forgot about it. It wasn't until I saw a video with the Beaver, Utah UFO that sparked my interest again. It moved like that at a crazy amount of speed. Okay. Let me take a look here, Coyote. Let's see what we got.
How are we doing today?
Oh, jeez. How are we doing? That guy looks like the guy from the trade offer. I receive. You receive. About the weird line on the YF-50, it looks like it's an expander cycle. It goes through the nozzle, and then one channel heats up, it goes back, it spins the turbo pump. And because it's high pressure, you can push the heat part. It's on a different spot because of the influx of fresh LH2. Yeah, very interesting way to do it. That's why it was confusing me, Raph. That makes more sense. Dude, I just sent like a paragraph. No way. Posting in Twitch chat is like Twitter, dude. You can only go so many characters. If you go too many characters, it just assumes that you're spamming the chat. Sorry, man. Amazing footage from Beaver, Utah. Let's take a look. Let me see. Dude, that's righteous. What the hell is that? Yo, that's cool. That's a bug? Yeah, maybe. I guess. I don't ever remember bugs being gray like that. Man, that thing's hauling. Yeah, I don't know, dude. How can you even tell what the shape... How can you even tell what the shape is, man? And where does it come from? Let me see if we can see kind of an origin point there. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is, man. Frick if I know, dude. I don't know. It could be a small bird that is not flapping its wing while the drone is flying relatively flat. Yeah, I mean... I don't know how you could look at that and be like, oh yeah, that's what I saw, because you could only see it for like 3 frames. Why? That just leads into another thing. Why the hell don't people ever get clear footage of a UFO? Why is it always the person with like a freaking Razor camera phone? What the heck's up with that? Why is it always blurry? It's blurry every goddamn time. It's freaking ridiculous. It's always blurry. It's always... They shot it with a freaking department store security camera where they're like, The hell's that about? Yeah, everyone has an HD camera in their damn pocket. Because you would see it's not a UFO, it was clear. Oh, I mean, well... it's a joke, Forlorn, but yeah, you're right. Not just blurry, but also low-res and grainy. Yeah, never understood that. If it was blurry, then it would be an identified flying object. I mean, data, it makes sense to me. It's funny you mentioned that. You should watch this when you get the time. Oh boy, an ad. Did Neil deGrasse Tyson say that? The cell phone footage thing, I know I didn't come up with that. That's parroted from somebody, and I try not to do that, but it's a good point. Is that what he said in that? Oh boy, here. Oh, it's good that my ad blocker isn't working on YouTube. That's fantastic. Great, because I care about your vacation destination. How about you shut up? Stupid ads. I hate ads so much. That's cool footage. If the object is flying eastward from the equator, it already has the speed of about 1,600 kilometers an hour at the outset, and that means we need less energy and therefore less fuel. The vehicle is lighter and its flight is cheaper. Is that why rockets always fly towards the east? Yep, and that's why launch sites are as close to the equator as possible. Gynoxin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Earth bulges at the center. It's a non-uniform sphere. You get a free velocity gain, about 500 meters a second, imparted on the vehicle if you're launched near the equator. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got it, dude. Maybe he did, Ram. I don't know. It is you, Block Core. Alright, we'll keep going with the next news. Very serious. Assessed market would sustain perhaps 2 providers. 3 is possible but understandable. Serving demographics and urgent. Isolated maintenance of mega constellations. Not initial deployment or replenishment cycles, as these wouldn't have gone to large launchers. Modest. And the question for Tori Bruno is, has ULA given a small launch vehicle any serious thought? If yes, how far did you get into it? Oh, okay. ULA wants... Yeah, Tori Bruno says they're looking... That's actually a really good question from Cameron there. I'd not even be mad if you rolled ads... If you rolled ads on us during premium holiday pay. Yeah, maybe. Hellfish, hey man. 24-month resub, 2 years. Holy crap, I have wasted. Spent a lot of time learning. Seriously though, keep doing what you're doing. Right on, man. All right, Coyote, what do you got for me? So me and a friend were skateboarding at a school in La Miranda. We stopped to take a rest by a field. My friend finishes talking. We both casually gaze off. The first thing that caught my eye was what looked like a plane with the sun reflecting off of it. Okay. Could you build a small sat launcher with a GEM-63 as the first stage? You'd need a vernier engine of some type, short line to control gimbal, but sure, why not? Yeah, Spartan, look, I don't know what's out there, guys. I don't have all the freaking answers, man. How the hell do I know? If I knew, I wouldn't be streaming on Twitch. That's what I like to think. But dude, I don't know. My challenge to anybody that's seen a UFO or anything is, you know what? Maybe we should go figure it out. You know? Hey, Sim Gammon, what's going on? Long time no see. Alright, interesting. ULA is working on could potentially be working on a small sat launcher. That's what you want us to think. Nice. Okay, so this is coming from NASA. Okay, so this is the fairing for the Lucy mission. That's an Atlas fairing, an Atlas 400 series fairing. Wait, what does that say? Oh, that says first. Oh, jeez. Nice. First to the Trojans. Yep. Lucy is an asteroid surveying satellite. Okay, so first what you saw was a metal object. So then it suddenly shot across the whole sky, stopped on a dime, then shot straight up out of the atmosphere. I was still looking up while my friend turned around and said, "Did you see that?" All I could do was laugh. I barely could get out what I saw. Give me 1 second. Space Coyote, I have a question. Did it look like this? Here, check it out. Watch. Look like that? Now keep in mind, this is in a dark place, so the flames are a lot more pronounced. They do that for testing on purpose so you can see them. During the day, it would be a lot harder to see it. Look like that? Oh yeah, yeah, that's slowed down, by the way. This is in slow motion. It's using RCS thrust modulation to hover. The sound is great. Yeah, alright, I'll play the sound for you guys. Yeah, that's RCS thrust modulation to make a little drone that hovers around. Yeah, it's cool. So that's... Alright, Coyote, I'm not saying that that's what it is, but also, look at the data on this footage. No, it made no sound. It was maybe a mile away. Well, you wouldn't have known if it made sound from that far away. Don't know how to rage it, but it was insanely fast. Something that should have had multiple booms. Sonic booms are directional, dude. If it's going away from you, you wouldn't have heard a sonic boom. And that's not... You don't need to know anything about UFOs to know that. That's why rockets, when they ascend, you do not hear a sonic boom. But when they come back down, you do. Sonic booms are directional, like a speaker, because sound is directional. Because sound comes out of a speaker. What does that motor do to a motor fire? What does that do to a motor firing that rapidly? What do you mean? Which company made this? U.S. Missile Defense Agency video of the December 2008 free flight test of the Lockheed... Yeah, of course it's Lockheed. Lockheed Martin's multiple kill vehicle, the MKVL. The MKV is designed to allow a single interceptor to destroy a ballistic missile equipped with multiple warheads or countermeasures. In Lockheed's design, a seeker-equipped carrier vehicle maneuvers into the path of the missile and then dispenses and guides small kill vehicles to their targets. In this first test, the MKVL hovered for 20 seconds in a special facility at Edwards Air Force Base while recognizing and tracking a simulated target. Nice. So that's from 13 years ago, fellas. Coyote, now look, that may have not been what you've seen. That's the closest thing to what you're describing, because yeah, those things can do that, man. If there's nobody on board, you don't have to worry about changing directions. Is not that big of a deal. A lot of pilots have said that, you know, the F-22, the only bottleneck in the entire F-22 system, it could be more maneuverable. The only bottleneck is the meat bag that's flying in the front. Seriously, it's more maneuverable. The F-22 has systems in place to make it so it won't kill the pilot. Because the F-22 could do maneuvers that could kill the pilot. There is systems implemented into the software to make it so the pilot can't kill himself when flying. That's absolutely a thing. You're right, and I'm skeptical too, but this thing darted like nothing could ever catch up to it. Straight up, no acceleration, just immediate super fast. Yeah, I mean, dude. So what I'm saying back to you is that it could be the MKV. It could be a better version of the multiple kill vehicle. It could be. It's possible. That testing criteria is from around the same time that you're talking about. What you most likely saw was some kind of defense weapon, dude. There's been this problem, and once again, I don't know, you could take it for what it's worth. You could believe me, you could not believe. It is what it is. Like, I'm not, Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with being skeptical. Do I know what it is? Man, hell no. It's most likely some kind of defense system, dude. Like, that's the thing. It's most likely some kind of defense system. Why? Why is it some kind of defense system? Because we've been trying to solve that problem of missile defense and intercept for, well, since the 60s. The department, you know, you always hear about all this money that goes to all these projects, blah, 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 blah. Basically, what they're trying to figure out is a way to zap the nukes. They're trying to eliminate first strike capability. Now, if you know about Star Wars and the SDI in the 80s, you know that was a bluff. That we were kidding. From the takeoff to stop to straight up. I like hearing it. You're educated. Yeah, I mean, it could be. A sprint missile does something like that, dude. Yeah, there's this thing called a sprint missile, and the sprint missile is designed to intercept an ICBM. The thing about an ICBM is that it's ballistic, right? So it's not propelled by anything, but an ICBM, when it comes in straight down, going at like Mach 10, and then hits the target, right? We've been trying to figure out ways to stop that from happening for a half century. So, you know, I don't know, the money could be going to that. I don't freaking know. It could be that, it might not, probably isn't. I mean, but who knows? Who knows what it is? You know, and I see, dude, I see people on like Rogan, the guys that go on Rogan all the time, and they talk about UFOs and stuff. These guys have no freaking clue what they're talking about. It's ridiculous. Like, dude, they talk about like, oh, you know, this didn't happen or this didn't happen. Dude, how could they keep this a secret from all these people? What they don't understand is that the Department of Defense has purposeful compartmentalization. You only need to know what you need to know enough to be useful, right? That is something that's textbook DOD. They don't understand, like, a lot of like people that are skeptical, Coyotes, seem to think that, you know, oh, well, they wouldn't have been able to keep a secret. They wouldn't have been able to keep a secret. There's so many people involved in this project. They would have been able to, yeah, well, because if you go to work and they say, here, design a freaking faucet that could go on an airplane, right, for a kitchen sink, you're not going to think anything the wiser. If that faucet ends up going inside of a UFO because someone needs to take a dump and wash their hands while they're going Mach 10 around the surface of the Earth, well, you don't know. You just worked on a damn faucet. How the hell are you supposed to know? Anybody that works in the defense industry knows this. You're never going to see the full scope of a project. Not even the people that designed it are going to see the full scope of the damn project. So that compartmentalization is how they keep a secret. The secret is that they don't keep a secret. Nobody knows the full scope of the project except for like 4 or 5 people. And it's very easy for 4 or 5 people to keep a secret. It's very difficult for 400,000 people to keep a secret. You know what I mean? So, who knows what it is? You may have saw a missile intercept weapon. You could have seen a new prototype fighter jet. You could have seen a hypersonic missile. There's a bunch of different. You could have seen a Trimaxian drone ship from the Phaelon system for the Flight of the Navigator fans. I don't know. Where I'm at with that stuff, Coyote, is that if the government came out and said, yeah, that's us, we're trying to figure out ways to shoot down nukes, and we have an intercept weapon that's based off of the MKV where we can kill nukes and stuff. So if someone wants to launch a nuke in anger at us, we eliminated their first strike capability and we can blow them up before they blow us up. I'd be like, all right, cool. Now, on the other hand, if they came out and said, yeah, we don't know what that is. Yeah, we have no idea. I don't know. I'd be like, you don't know? You sure? Now, on another hand, we have 3 hands now, maybe a foot, I guess. If they said, yeah, it's aliens. Oh, yeah, they landed at Roswell in 1947. We've reverse engineered their tech and we've made a lot of cool things with it. I'd be like, sweet, cool. Can we use that to go back to the moon, please? Like, the only outcome of this where I'd be like, is if they said we don't know. Because no government ever admits that they don't know what something is. Governments don't work that way. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Think about it. There's been a huge UAP surge for whatever reason over the first part of this year. Now, compartmentalization and operational security explains why pilots are saying they don't know, because they generally have no idea what they're looking at, because They're Navy pilots. They could be looking at an Air Force test program. They wouldn't know what it is. So they're generally telling the truth, right? But here's one thing I've noticed about governments. And once again, people could disagree with me on this one, and that's totally fine. Here's one thing I've learned about that. And it's one thing that I've learned is no government ever admits that they can't do something. I'll give you a couple of case scenarios. The Soviet Union never admitted that they couldn't get to the moon. They admitted that the US could get to the moon, but they never admitted that they couldn't do it. Right? That's a really good example in the space program. And that's one of the ways I prove skeptics wrong. People are like, we didn't land on the moon. And I go, why did the Soviet Union say we did then? And then people usually say, oh, we fooled them. Oh, we fooled them. The people that launched the first person into space, we fooled them? Yeah, okay. Sure. Another good scenario is that we were spying on the Soviet Union during the Cold War with the U-2. Now, it's not that they didn't know, it's not that the Soviets didn't know that the U-2 was there. They knew it was there. They couldn't shoot it down. So they never admitted to, they never just came out and said, you guys are spying on us. Because we would have been like, no, we're not. What are you talking about? It's only when they shot down Gary Powers in 1960 and got the pilot and the U-2 that they said, you're spying on us and we have proof. Governments don't ever admit that they don't have capability. That's not something that happens. They never do that. Which is strange that they would do it now, but who knows? Maybe they're telling the truth. I have no idea. It's complex to talk about truth and lies with the Soviets, okay? So, Coyote, I don't know. The Fullerton Airport was in that direction, and it wouldn't be unusual to see a plane there, but this was not a plane. Andre, you're telling me you lost another submarine?
We have never had reports from the Knevelov. It was in the area of Red October at this time. Fortunately, Captain Tupolev has not been in contact with us for some time.
Andre, have you lost another submarine? Like the Stealth Blackhawk that didn't exist until it crashed. Or they're saying it intentionally as a smokescreen. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you one way or another. That's really up to personal judgment. The things you're saying. These things you're saying, this thing has made me ponder the same things. Yeah, Coyote, I don't know. You probably saw a defense weapon, dude. The Department of Defense's budget is over $700 billion. They're doing something. And I would hope that not all that $700 billion isn't going to just regular airplanes and frigging aircraft carriers. It better be going to some damn alien space tech or whatever. Frick, dude. If it was going to stuff that we all understand, I'd be a little pissed. I'd be like, really? $700 billion? Best you could do is a bunch of nuclear-powered aircraft carriers? What the hell, man? You know, that's still pretty impressive. Like, it's still impressive. Like, it's a joke. But that's the best you could do with that? Are you serious? No. Kidding. Yeah, Panja, for all we know, they have fusion tech. So, Coyote, like, I don't know. I don't know what you saw. You don't know what you saw. We'll probably never know what you saw. So, the first thing is admitting that. Don't let it be a thorn in your mind. I don't know what it is. I know the MKV is a good example. I know we have vehicles that can do that. Like, here, I'll show you. The Sprint missile. Want to see something crazy? Watch this. So, watch the Sprint. Don't blink. Let's get over to the good stuff. No, Sea Dragon. Did you see it? It was quick. The Sprint missile was an anti-Icbm missile from the 60s. Yeah, ready? This next shot here, that's That's it. You can literally see re-entry heating happening, or shock heating on the front of the missile as it goes up. Did you see it? That footage wasn't sped up. That was in real time. That footage is in slow-mo. That's real time right there. Gone. See what I'm talking about? That's 50 years old. That's from 50 years ago. Here, I'll show you another picture. So once again, high shutter speed. Still in slow motion. That's still in slow-mo. That's regular speed. Dude, this is from 50 years ago. There's a lot of amateur rocketry. Like if you want to get your L1, L2, L3 cert, that you can make a rocket in your garage with the proper licensing. Do not go making your own rockets. That's how you actually get people knocking on your door. Don't do that. Go through the proper certs and make some cool stuff. But, dude, there's people with model rockets nowadays that can do that. No problem. 2 stages. Yep. Yeah, that's regular speed, guys. That footage of that thing getting out of the hole. Right here. Not this, but the next shot. That. It's designed to hit an ICBM that's coming in. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to intercept it, dude. Once again, this technology is old. That's 50 years ago, almost. Like, dude, do I know what you saw, Coyote? I have no freaking clue what you saw. I don't know. But, look, if that was 50 years ago, dude, I don't even want to know what they have now. Dude, I get whispers and stuff here and there about things just because I read a lot about space, but holy crap, dude, I don't even want to know. If the Department of Defense hasn't invented teleportation, I'd be surprised. Like, I'd be surprised. Show THAAD testing? Yeah, THAAD is even crazier. I mean, THAAD, Patriot missiles, there's all kinds of stuff. 100 Gs of acceleration, that thing would be near orbital velocity in like 10 seconds. Yep. I expect you to know exactly. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows what you saw, dude? Who knows? I'm willing to bet that it was probably not aliens, though. If I had to put my hat into the ring and say it was something, I'll bet you it wasn't aliens. I'll bet you it was some kind of defense project or something. They're doing all kinds of stuff, man. Hypersonic missiles. They're doing, the Navy has the railgun. I think they stopped funding that the other day because they can't figure out how to get the railgun from melting itself every time it fires. Also check the Zircon missile. Yeah. Zircon? Why is that the Russian? Yep. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, the hypersonic missiles. Captain, that's what everybody's like. Everybody over here in the news, they're like, Russia has hypersonic missiles. I'm like, all right. Okay. Yeah, watch this thing. This thing is pretty ridiculous. Ready?
Big 3 publicly revealed hypersonic missiles.
Yeah, I don't care what you have to say. Everybody's like, oh, hypersonic missiles, implying that we haven't had missiles that can go past Mach 5 for like 50 years, which is funny to me. Either of us, which I think is really stupid. I'm sorry, it makes me laugh. I think it's funny. It's funny when you hear people report stuff and they have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it wrong sometimes too, but it's still funny to me, man. Well, look at this thing. Sprint had a W-66 nuke on it. Its ICBM kill was via radiation from nuclear detonation. Cool. Hey. Hypersonic cruise missiles. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at this thing. I want one. Give me the truck. Give me the truck. What is this? Yo, look at this thing. I still want the truck. You know what? I'm honestly not interested in the missile. I just want the truck. Yikes. Yep. Lower the launch plate down. You have your control vehicle here, and thunk. Thunk. That's kind of cool. Oh, that's neat. Boom! See ya! I'm gone! Dude, that's ridiculous. What happens to a truck when a hot young ute comes sashaying past? Nice. Alright, you guys want... I know you guys want the sound.
Around 700 kilo.
Alright, give me the sound. I want the sound.
Use a variety of imagining technologies and satellite navigation technologies. Finally, while the 300 to 400 kilometer range might be considered sufficient for anti-ship duty, it leaves a likely result from the ground attack role. Ground attack Zeppelins
Launch escape system. See ya!
reach most targets in Poland, but not
That's
Poland.
cool.
With the intermediate range nuclear
Bye-bye.
force off the table.
That's pretty neat. Like, I appreciate it for what it is. I don't like that would come and knock on my front door, so to speak, but that's pretty neat. Oh, man. What's that little bit? So it has a solid rocket propellant RCS on the top, and it pops it out, right? And it has a little sustainer motor as a first stage, and that first stage only lasts a second, right? It gets up in the air, right? And then the RCS front activates, and it turns the missile sideways, and then it pops the front and rear stage off. The front comes off like a launch escape system, and the back just pops off, and then the second stage fires and the missile goes. Which, I mean, once again, that's cool. I appreciate it. That's really difficult to make something do that. Like, that's a cool piece of engineering. Like, and once again, I'm not happy that thing would find my front doorstep if something bad happened. Like, that would really suck. It's still cool. I still appreciate it. Nah, I don't think it would ever be pointed at you or vice versa. Yeah, maybe. Could you do something like that in KSP with separatrons? Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Separatrons on a sequence cow controller. Yeah, I could do it. I don't know what we'd make the missile do or why we would need something like that, but sure, why not? Ready for OFT2? Hell yeah, man. I'm ready. I want to see Starliner fly. I do have an article from Joey Roulette here about... Yeah, I don't really... I mean, it's late, but anyway. Blow up the VAB, duh. Dish, let's be real. If something goes hot between us and Russia, the VAB is going to be the least of someone's concern. Just like Baikonur will be the least of our concern. Like, right? Hey, Dimas, what's going on? I mean, you and KSP. Oh, yeah. No, exactly. Not in mission mode, though. That would really suck. Maybe we can make a debris removal vehicle. If there's debris out in the ocean that we need to get rid of, we'll make a little, you know, and we'll set something as target and then use a CAL controller and SAS to have it home in. That would actually be kind of... I can do that. Did you ever notice that the Ohio SSGNs have 154 missiles? Oh yeah, I noticed that. After the SSDO is done. Expensive? Not really. Is the Apollo Center at KSC closed on days that they are expecting a launch? It depends on which pad they're launching from nuclear. Yeah, generally from 39A and B, it's used as a viewing site. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. What's the difference between super and hypersonic missiles? So these are, yeah, Hellfish, I know that they're hypersonic cruise missiles, but yeah, so we have a missile that can just basically cruise at hypersonic speeds. So a cruise missile is basically an airplane with no pilot on it and just a missile at the front, a warhead, like the Regulus Missile we were talking about a little bit earlier. when we were talking about submarines. That's a cruise missile. Tomahawks are cruise missiles, right? The missile knows where it is. The V-1 was a very, 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 going back to World War II, very primitive cruise missile. Now, hypersonic cruise missiles are a big deal because, long story short, speed is king. Nobody can shoot you down if you go fast enough. That was the exact idea that they had with the SR-71 that Lockheed had. The SR-71 can go faster than the missiles that try to shoot it down. That's why they never shot one down, because if your missile can only go Mach 2 and the SR-71 can go Mach 4, it doesn't matter. The missile's going to run out of fuel before it even tries to get to you. It knows where it is because it knows where it isn't. Is the Defense Department working on aircraft carrier-sized ekranoplanes? No. Not even the Russians, who were the only ones to field a semi-operational ekranoplane, are doing that. Ekranoplanes don't make sense, Sea Dragon. You know why? They have a mortal enemy. You know what that mortal enemy is? Waves. Yeah, they need calm waters in order to work correctly. The ocean, last time I checked, is not that. Yeah, so it's better to just build the destroyer instead. Hypersonic is beyond Mach 5, guys. It's Mach 5 to Mach 25, I think, for hypersonic. And then after that, I don't think there is anything, because if you're going that fast... Boeing Pegasus, there's all kinds of stuff, dude. But anyway, Coyote, I hope at least maybe I answered some questions with that. So check this out. If we go to... We got the Starliner launch tomorrow, but see, Joey has this article here. I thought hypersonic was Mach 3. I think it's Mach 5. After years of turmoil, Boeing's capsule set for a do-over. Test launching its astronauts' capsule second time. Boeing needs a success now more than ever. Tetrapid. Mach 5 plus is hypersonic. Yeah, it's really cool, man. Hypersonics are sick, dude. It's so fascinating, dude. That's why I love talking about it, man. Yes, here. Have a wake of plasma. It's pretty dope. Really cool, actually. Really, really interesting stuff. Let's see. Boeing wants a major player in space. Has suffered a string of setbacks, failures, and legal challenges in recent years that have chipped away its dominance in the space industry. Okay. Sure. The company's space unit has been lapped by Elon Musk's SpaceX and left to watch on the sidelines as other companies have moved ahead with ambitious programs, from sending astronauts to the ISS to returning humans to the surface of the... I know what he means, but also... On Friday, Boeing will try to mend its reputation during an uncrewed test of its Starliner astronaut capsule to the ISS. This will be the second launch for the capsule, coming a year and a half after its first attempt failed to reach the space station. 18 months of grueling technical investigations and a string of leadership shakeups have brought Boeing back to the launch pad for a $410 million do-over that would put it on track for its first commercial launch with humans later this year. SpaceX, Boeing's rival in NASA's Commercial Crew program, is far ahead, with 3 astronaut missions already under its belt. The company has seen its once close relationship with the space agency dwindle since the beginning of the Starliner program. No. That's not what's going on at all. Focusing more on SpaceX, NASA officials overlooked Boeing's software problems that led to Starliner's failure. That's right. That's correct. That's what happened. NASA gave Boeing and SpaceX contracts in 2014 for commercial crew, and they focused heavily on SpaceX because they thought Boeing would be able to do it. They thought Boeing could handle it. So they really focused a lot on SpaceX and not on Boeing. They didn't give them equal time under the magnifying glass. Yeah, that wasn't a good idea. That's NASA's fault. That ain't Boeing's fault. If you really want my honest opinion. Why would you treat one contractor differently than another? That's literally the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Two investigations, one related to fraud in its Starliner program and a criminal probe into Boeing's bid on a lunar lander contract, pushed the company's reputation into deeper trouble. That's one way to put that, I guess. Locking Boeing out of its first major contracts in NASA's Artemis program. For Boeing, another Starliner failure is not an option. Okay. It's of paramount importance that we have a successful flight, said John Vollmer. Yeah, that's the press interview that we saw yesterday. This is a serious and unforgiving business, so we take it seriously. All that we've done in the past 18 months, we're very confident we're going to get a good flight. CST-100 Starliner capsule, a gumdrop-shaped astronaut pod designed to carry cargo and up to 7 passengers, will launch without humans on Friday at 2:53 p.m. Eastern Time. I thought it was 2:56. It'll carry out the motions of a routine mission, launch to space, dock to the ISS for 10 days, then come home, blazing through Earth's atmosphere at first, then floating under parachutes the rest of the way down to a desert in New Mexico. The mission, called OFT-2, or Orbital Flight Test 2, is one of the last tests Boeing needs to do to nail... It's one of the last tests Boeing needs to nail before its final test carrying NASA astronauts. Yeah, does Doodles. I understand what they were doing, but that proved to be a critical misstep. That was a bad idea. That would be like during the Apollo program, them focusing more on the second stage as opposed to the first stage, because the second stage was made by Douglas, and they also made the second stage for the Saturn V or Saturn 1. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You should give equal time. Leaving a contractor to their own devices was a very, 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 very dumb thing to do. But then again, that's in hindsight. Okay, 95. Give me 1 second. Let me finish through this article and we'll go from there. Let me just read to make sure. Okay. Yeah, so 95, the arrow is scaling correctly because that's pretty much exactly what the small one does. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for doing flight testing. I appreciate it. We know what happened in 2019. This is what I want to read. The OFT-1 test didn't work because of software problems. There were all kinds of software outstanding issues with Starliner's internal software clock and the Atlas V slot. It was a mess. They did fix it. They got the capsule back though, which is really cool. That's a whole awesome story that I talked about the other day. Got to go to work now. All right, gotcha. Boeing's waning relationship with NASA. What? Yeah, about that waning relationship. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. With a private fixed price model of its Starliner contract, Boeing bears more responsibility and risk than it used to. Joey, for frick's sake, man. See last, please. Yeah, nice, Squish. Nice, yeah, right? Than it used to? So, Boeing operated the space shuttle program from Oh, I don't know. 1994 to the end of the program. More responsibility and risk than it used to. My butt, dude. Are you kidding me? Like, how can you say that? I don't... What? As opposed to what? No, Joey's a good reporter. Floating, what the hell, man? Its work on such programs have been cited in financial filings as inherently risky that subject us to the risk of reduced margins or incurring losses if we are unable to achieve estimated costs and revenues. More financial risk. Ah, okay, Donnie. All right. Yeah, I get. Okay, all right. That makes sense in that regard. All right, cool. That subject us to risk. That subject us to the risk of reduced margins or incurring losses if we are unable to achieve estimated costs and revenues. With SpaceX's Crew Dragon far ahead and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin fiercely competing for more lunar lander funds, Boeing is struggling to adapt to the mounting competition from billionaire-backed space companies? Of course, hack and slash. Dish, no, you don't need to. Dish. Don't take this the wrong way, homie. You're not the only person I know that works there. Or worked there in the past, if you catch my drift. Yeah, dude, no, this is not... Oh my god. This is... I've heard the name Squish In, but I don't know personally, no. That's cool, Squish. Of course, I would hope that the cross-program integration lead for HLS would know what they're talking about. That's cool, man. NASA, too, has struggled under this commercial shift. The agency, under political pressure to end its reliance on the Russian space program for rides to the space station, has also faced pressure from Boeing to bend the rules of its fixed-price Starliner contract. Yeah, Drummer, it's quickly getting there. This is... NASA has not struggled under this commercial shift. NASA has no political pressure to end its reliance on Russian space that's not how that works at all. Oh my goodness. No, NASA has no political pressure. In fact, NASA can launch payloads with Russian-made engines in the first stage. There's no pressure to end its reliance on the Russian space program for rides. In fact, Americans are going to keep flying on Soyuz. Just like during the shuttle program, they flew on Soyuz. Americans have been flying on Soyuz for 25 years almost. Actually 20 years. It's closer to 20. With the first American to launch on a Soyuz was Bill Shepard in 2000. Well before the shuttle program was retired. What? Thanks, Kaz. You like the integration with Twitch chat? Yeah. It's how they vote. How chat votes on what they want to see with Kerbal. Yeah, it's a really fun way to do it. I'm either a genius or a psychopath. That one. For letting chat denote how I play the game. But once again, I like the challenge. It's fun. You have to cross. So there's no pressure to end reliance on the Russian space program, guys. You have to cross crews. The reason why? You don't want all Russians up there monitoring the U.S. side of the space station and have something go wrong with the U.S. side of the space station and not have somebody that can communicate in English with Mission Control Houston. Since the ISS program's inception, they have mixed crews via nationality. They've done that on purpose so a Russian can communicate with Star City and an American can communicate with Houston. It doesn't matter what's been up at the space station, who's been up at the space station, what vehicles have flown there, what vehicles the people flew on. They've always mixed crews. And if we're going to keep going with the ISS, which we seem to want to do, both countries, from what I can understand, yeah, that's not a thing. I thought Russia refused to fly on Dragon. Russia doesn't like SpaceX. Well, Jack, that illustrates from an international cooperation perspective why NASA would need its own redundant capability. NASA would need its redundant capability because NASA can share its designs, because its designs are public resource, with international partners, just like the Russians shared Soyuz with us. The reason why Roscosmos doesn't want to put Russians on Crew Dragon is because, well, they haven't been able to review the systems from back to front to deem if it's safe by their standards. Why? Because Dragon is SpaceX's intellectual property. It's not public resource. Another reason why you don't want to put all your eggs into the commercial basket and all your eggs into the public basket when it comes to spaceflight. You don't want NASA launching everybody into space, and you don't want SpaceX or anybody else launching everybody into space. There's a very good reason for that. Yeah, like I'm not liking what I see thus far. Ares 1 should have happened. In 2019, $661 million worth of Boeing deals with NASA were investigated for fraud by the agency's Inspector General in 2019. According to the documents obtained from a Freedom of Information Act request, that investigation previously unreported focused on 2 deals that, taken together, raised concerns among auditors of the procurement fraud, as Boeing was on the verge of canceling its Starliner contract. One involved a $287 million boost to Boeing's Starliner contract in late 2016, and another involved Boeing's sale of $374 million worth of Russian Soyuz seats to NASA 2 months later in 2017. The investigation shed some light on an early instance where Boeing's relationship with NASA began to that's not how that happened at all. Something like that, Green, yeah. See your last HLS question. Hey, Krakenbot got gifted a sub. It renewed it automatically? Beep boop? Interesting. Boeing doesn't seem to have any issues with sharing. Boeing, Starliner Chem is much more... How Boeing chose to implement Starliner is much more like Ares 1 than we think. I.e. that SpaceX is a commercial operator that's working with NASA. We had NASA flight controllers controlling the OFT-1 flight, dude. Starliner is much more like an in-house design in that regard. Russians will fly on Starliner if they can't fly on Dragon, because Boeing is way more open about that. But there is still times where Boeing has been anal about their intellectual property, which I understand. That's fine. Hey, Just Space, what's going on? So the reason why Boeing bought seats on a Russian Soyuz, the reason why they did that was in case Starliner wasn't ready, which proved to be correct. Boeing had seats on 2 Soyuz flights, and they ended up selling those seats to NASA for nothing to safeguard against delays in the Starliner program. For the Starliner deal in late 2016, Boeing asked NASA to raise the value of its fixed-price Starliner contract after running into months of development delays that Boeing itself caused. Who else is going to cause development delays? As fixed-price contracts typically require the contractor to bear the cost of falling behind, not the agency, several NASA attorneys initially objected to Boeing's proposal over fears that it would violate the contract. According to a partially redacted document, NASA refused to release until The Verge filed a Freedom of Information Act appeal. But Boeing, according to 4 people with first-hand... Oh, jeez, here we go. According to 4 people with first-hand knowledge of the private discussions, threatened to drop out of the commercial crew program if NASA didn't agree to the contract boost. Boeing denied this statement in 2019, issuing a statement that said any implication that we've ever wavered in our participation in the commercial crew program is false. NASA ultimately agreed to the $287 million boost, justifying its payment by citing fears that recent rocket failures with SpaceX and Soyuz would jeopardize the agency's ability to send astronauts to the ISS in the next 2 years. In exchange, Boeing agreed to speed up The time it would take to build Starliner capsules for crewed missions, it said would occur as early as 2019. Boeing has yet to fly humans. No, EJ, we read about this. Boeing got the Soyuz seat in the first place as a repay for sea launch, and Boeing subsequently sold the seats to NASA. Okay. Around the same time, Boeing entered settlement talks in an unrelated lawsuit with Russian rocket firm Energia, where it would obtain the rights to 5 astronaut seats on the Soyuz launch vehicle. Boeing offered to sell those seats to NASA for $374 million 5 days after the agency agreed to the $287 million Starliner boost. NASA ended up buying the seats from Boeing to solve the same schedule issue Boeing Starliner commitment was supposed to solve. Highly unusual, it marked the first time NASA bought Russian astronaut seats from a non-Russian entity. Two years later, auditors with NASA's Inspector General examined the Starliner and Soyuz deals and referred their findings to the Inspector General's investigative unit for a fraud probe. According to a case memo, investigators within that unit closed the case, finding that the auditors' concerns about the deals were valid, but less than optimal contract administration did not equate to fraud. Oh boy. Please see my last question. I'm not trying to interrupt space news, but I think it's something others are confused about too. Yeah, Squish, or I could finish reading this. What's your question? You don't mean to stop space news. All right, so what's up? What's on your mind? It will be interesting to see how HLS will go. Do I understand this correctly? SpaceX is the prime contractor selected, but now the national team has petitioned their way back into the program. No, the national team petitioned to set up a separate program for operational missions called the Lunar Exploration Transport Services Program. It's an Appendix N modification to the broad agency announcement for the Next Step 2 program when it comes to delivering people and cargo to the moon. SpaceX won the bid for a demonstration mission and an operational mission for the first people to land back on the moon with Lunar Starship. That Blue Origin and the national team and Dynetics are contesting that contract, saying that there was unfair criteria. They just kind of picked SpaceX and didn't consider anything else or whatever. That's industry standard stuff. That happens all the time. It's not incompetence, Bobby. It's not incompetence at all. What did I say at the beginning of this article? What did I say? I said that NASA didn't keep a magnifying glass under Boeing. NASA put a magnifying glass under SpaceX. And just said, Boeing, yeah, do whatever. One of the reasons why I like Jim so much and why he's literally still in my mission control, even though he's not the NASA administrator, is because he held contractors' feet to the fire. That's very important. It's NASA can't just bend over and take it from contractors all the time, because if they do, the contractors will do that. It's their job to make money. And whether people have, some people believe, oh, but it's NASA, hey, you got to put food on the table at the end of the day. It's about making money. That's why people do things here. Remember? NASA has to hold these contractors accountable. They did not hold Boeing accountable, so Boeing shoehorned them. Boeing had Starliner seats they knew that they could use as leverage and use that to not delay the Starliner program because they didn't find any fraud. Boeing probably anticipated, like I said, that the Starliner would be a little bit behind. And, you could sit here and say, as the article says, that, Boeing is a major player in space. It has a lot of experience. When's the last time they made a capsule? Oh, never? Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, they have a lot of experience, though. Yeah, Boeing has never made a spacecraft. Ever. The Apollo CSM, North American. Boeing bought that company later. I wouldn't count that as technical experience. They have the rights to the Apollo CSM, and you can technically say that the command service module was made by Boeing. Space Shuttle, Rockwell engineered that. Boeing bought Rockwell in 1994. It merged, and then merged with McDonnell Douglas in 1997 after that. Is the C-17 a Boeing plane? No, it's a McDonnell Douglas plane. Boeing just still made it. See what I'm talking about? Boeing's never made it. They've never made a capsule before. And it shows. But to cite their, they've had prior experience with space shuttles by operating a space shuttle. Last time I checked, that operating a rocket and developing a rocket is two way different things. Isn't a capsule just a satellite bus with an air bubble in the front? Yeah, oh my god. See what, yeah, Senator, this is ridiculous, man. Like, this... So, Boeing saw that their original timelines for getting Starliner finished were not going to work because of the technical challenges involved with how Starliner is made. So they saw that they had Soyuz seats, and they saw that they could leverage it again. They could leverage that to get Starliner made. You know, they leveraged NASA saying, we need a little bit more money for Starliner development, and here, we'll sell you these Soyuz seats. We'll sell you seats on the Soyuz while we're getting this done for $384 million for 5 seats. Anybody? 384 divided by 5. I'll bet you. Let me see. 76 million. How much does Starliner cost? What's the price per seat? Is it the same cost? Interesting. I actually don't know if it is, to be honest with you. I'm betting that's about right. I think Starliner, actually, off the top of my head, is like 40-50 million a pop or per person per the fixed, if you break it down via the firm fixed pricing, right? But also at the same time, what if Boeing sold those seats to NASA as profit and used that profit to help develop Starliner? See what I mean? That's why it's a less than optimal contract administration did not equate to fraud. Boeing's just covering its tail, as they should. See what I'm talking about, man? This is... $90 million US. So they basically sold those seats to NASA at a loss. That certainly sounds like commitment to the program if you put your money where your mouth is. Waning relationship, my ass. I'm sorry, I don't mean to curse. I'll time myself out for 10 seconds. It's very frustrating, dude. That's not what's going on. You are entirely misreading the situation. That's ridiculous. I gotta time myself out. I have to abide by my chat rules. That's the rule. I'm not above the law. That's dumb. Okay. Wait, so did Boeing just buy out all these space companies? Wasn't it around the same time Grumman went under? Grumman didn't go under just space. They merged with Northrop. There was a major consolidation of aerospace contractors in the 90s because defense funding dried up after the Cold War ended. Chat Grove, it isn't a bad word. It's a bad word for here, Spotulous. I would time somebody out if someone said it in chat, so I'll time myself out if I say it. Equal application of the rules, man. Boeing obtained... What does that say, Forts? Boeing obtained the seats from a Russian company, RC Energy, as part of a settlement between the two companies for a legal dispute involving sea launch. Yeah, that's what I mean. Boeing was safeguarding the damn program. And yeah, they asked for more money. It's no secret that sometimes this stuff is more complicated than we anticipated. Space Shuttle, Saturn V. Like... it looks like they sold NASA those 5 seats at $76 million a pop at a loss to fulfill their obligations to sending crews into space. And then the Inspector General found less than optimal contract administration did not equate to fraud. Basically saying it's not an ideal scenario with Starliner being a little bit behind because it's more making spacecraft is more complicated than we think. But that doesn't equate to fraud. Like I said, Boeing's just covering its tail, dude. But once again, Boeing's selling NASA the 5 seats that they bought from RSC Energia on Soyuz at a loss comparatively to what it would cost on Starliner is pretty telling. That shows pretty damn big commitment to the program, which is exactly what the Boeing PR people are saying. See, this is like I don't want to make like something out of like I don't want to be the jackass here, but sorry I did it again. But this is making something out of nothing. SSTO poll is about to end. I got it. I said it again. I had to time myself out again. Nice, Hellfish. There you go. Hey, the poll's closed. There you go. I came in 5 minutes ago. What are you ranting about now? I'm ranting about how people report news about spaceflight and interpret it in a way that shows that they have no fundamental understanding about how spaceflight works. It's actually really fun to do. It's really funny to me. But yeah, anyway. Like, I don't know why would you, like, out of all the things to talk about, you could talk about how Boeing has a lot of adversity to overcome because the OFT-1 mission was a disaster, but to seem to imply in your article that you're reporting with unconfirmed sources as the news that Boeing has had some kind of waning relationship with NASA is absurd. That's absurd. What about that whole SLS program? What, that's not Boeing? Boeing has fallen behind because the private contractors are looking to go back to the moon? Yeah, they're looking to go back to the moon. How do you think we're going to get astronauts out there to land on the moon? They're going to fly on SLS, which is a Boeing rocket. What the heck, man? That's not how this works. Controversy equals clicks. Yeah, we fell for it, didn't we? Anyway, check this out. Last bit of news here. Starship. We're going down to Boca Chica. They moved the orbital launch table. This is the 24/7 Starship cam from our buddies over at NASA Spaceflight. Check that out. Watch this thing. Come on, move. They moved the ground service equipment from Starship out there, out to the pad, and they placed it down, and they also moved the orbital launch table. That thing that we've been watching them build at the build site for a long time. Felix Xiang reports that SpaceX is aiming for orbital flight on August 5th. Senshai, that's an internal deadline. I really, really doubt that the pad's going to be operational in a week. But it's a good thing to strive for, you know? Yeah, Synerd, it's pretty bad, dude. Synerd, I don't know how I can sit here I'll get back to reporting about Starship in a second. I don't understand how I can sit here and literally talk about spaceflight every day and have compelling content and be able to understand and demonstrate certain points of spaceflight and what's going on in the industry without clickbaiting anybody. How can I do that every day? Every freaking day. Space News, look, Space News has already gone an hour over. That's because we talked about battleships, but Space News has already gone over an hour over. How can I come up with long format content for 10 to 12 hours every day and have a 4-hour Space News segment every day talking about different elements of the space program and how it works and never have to clickbait anybody about anything? How is that a thing? I don't understand. I honestly don't. I don't understand. You're giving an opinion, aren't you? Simple reporting of the news takes 10 minutes. But... what? No. Yeah, I mean, first of all, Spotchers, I tell you when I'm saying my opinion versus what's actually going on. First of all. Because you're getting sidetracked. Never mind. I just don't understand how I can make compelling space content that teaches people about space and reports what's going on. And I get it, sidetrack, blah, 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 blah. Even if you condense space news to just the reporting down, it would still be a good hour and a half of content. You can't say that it wouldn't be. There's all the different things that we talk about because I play reactionary off the chat. If I wanted to do a news segment like, 5 o'clock space news with EJ and keep it nice and formal and ruin the dynamic that we have here, I would do that. But even if I did do that, I could still do that without ever clickbaiting or making controversy or anything. Why is that? To be fair, this kind of content would never work in article form. Publications make no money nowadays, so they're getting desperate. I guess. I have to go look at the results fund, but I will. I have a space policy question because I'm behind. Is it correct to say that S1260 states that NASA will be required with 60 days of enactment to select a second source for HLS? I'd have to go review it, Green. That seems to be what's going on. Because everyone thinks space is cool. We are all space nerds, that's why these journalists go over the big crowds. Okay, let me ask you another question then, fellas. Do you think that I would, if I was a spaceflight journalist, do you think I would write articles like that? The point that I'm getting at is that there's something that I'm missing here? Is there something that I'm missing? And it's an open question because these articles are wrong. They are incorrect. I'm not saying like, oh, what the article's reporting is correct, but the conclusions and interpretations are not what's going on. And I can say that with full confidence. You could not bring yourself to do it? Oh, yeah, that would suck. I would just report the news, and you know what? People would honestly not care, and I don't care. At least I knew I did a good job. Yeah, Kaz, I guess. They don't have the same level of interest as you. They're just there to report on stuff, even if they don't. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I guess, Gordon. I mean, yeah, true that. You already know these journalists don't care. They force NASA into a panic presser on a Friday evening. Yeah, Draco, I remember that. I would be really more concerned as to who leaked NASA's source selection statement on SLS. That was the day that a reporter said, you know, people ask, well, how do you know this? How did you get the source selection statement? And one of the reporters, it was hilarious. I won't say who, but one of the reporters actually said, well, look, you know, there's a lot of politicians that are in the know, as the response. So great. Some Rule 8 person is leaking stuff to the press that has to do with NASA internal affairs. Lovely. Great. Good. That's not a conflict of interest at all? That just didn't pop up on anybody's radar? The source selection statement on the human landing system was leaked, and NASA freaked out so much so that they literally held a press conference like a couple hours after it was leaked. Yeah, I know, Livid. I'm not fishing for compliments, guys. It's just frustrating, dude. It's frustrating because, yeah, no, I won't get into why. It's self-evident. You know why. Yeah, the Bezos bailout. Give me a frickin' break, came here. Anybody that called that $10 billion a Bezos bailout, we know for a fact they didn't bother reading the contract. They have no idea what NASA does. They have no idea where Jeff Bezos stands in his terms of his position towards the national team and what the national team does. It demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of several critical pieces of knowledge that you need to know to understand why they want to fund lunar exploration transport services, which is Appendix N. The Appendix N to NASA's Next Step 2 broad agency announcement. Yeah, I bet you they couldn't even tell where the contract comes from. It's ridiculous how confident people are in what they say and how much they don't understand. Like, guys, don't get me wrong. I get stuff wrong too. I ain't perfect. I'm not infallible when it comes to this stuff. I get stuff wrong multiple times every day. I can't remember everything off the cuff. That would be really cool. And I'm certainly not gonna not try, you know, like, but this is a little ridiculous, man. Today EJ discovers the internet. Yeah, I know. Not perfect, how dare you? I get stuff wrong. I got critical mass to generate unchained nuclear flux wrong at the beginning of Space News. I got it wrong. I was just, yep, all right, that's really cool. Like, a lot of people are teaching me about this, and that's what I said, and we moved on. It was not a big deal. Like, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong about things, because I don't know everything. Like, it's never been a problem. Like, I don't understand. Like, dude, all right. I'm just gonna go outright and say it. How do we know that this isn't a hit piece? How do we know that there's not a conflict of interest here? Like, how do you know that for sure? Like, the interpretation of events with that article, and I see this more increasingly with more news articles nowadays, is the interpretation is completely wrong. And it wouldn't take more than 30 minutes of research to figure out that not everything is a nefarious purpose. Not everything is some crazy conspiracy against, said company with NASA. That's not how this works. It's not how spaceflight works. It's not. I've talked to enough people in the industry, and I've been following these events for the better part of a decade. That's not what's going on. That's not how it works. It's not that. It's not some soap opera, for Christ's sake. If it was, more people would get killed when we try to launch people into space, because you can't screw around with this stuff. Ugerman, I don't know I'm confused. No. Can you find better sources for news? Spatuous, well, people wanted me to go over that article and look at it, right? So, this happens sometimes, dude. And once again, I don't mean to get it to bum me out. Like, This happens sometimes where people link an article and they're like, this doesn't sound right. Can you look at it? And I look at it and I read stuff like that and I'm like, oh my goodness. Now, don't get me wrong. It could just be viewers trying to link an article so they can hear me rant about stuff, because I guess some people enjoy that. But yeah, Synerd, I'm with you on that one. When you need to attract people's eyeballs, everything becomes the end of the world. Yeah, Swishio, I do it. I don't do that. That's what I mean. I don't do that at all. I don't. And maybe I do it to an extent when I say that we need to go into space. It's imperative, right? But I don't think anybody thinks I'm fear-mongering when I say stuff like that. We need to go into space to go, because flying more into space will help us more down here. If we learn how to do stuff up there, stuff down here becomes easier. It's that simple. Like, that's pretty, like I said, that's self-evident. That's my word of the day, or my phrase of the day, I suppose. Have I talked about Starship? Sorry, unrelated, but now that the Sim Update 5 is out, do you plan to play Flight Simulator again? Yeah, sometime. It is pad time. Let's get to work on the pad, but let's look at what's going on with SpaceX. Now, they did move the orbital launch plate, and they crowned the last section of the tower here. Take a look. Just behind my melon right here. We're on a mission from God. Yeah, it is, right? So look at the people sitting up there, man. That's unreal. So here, let me back it up a little bit. They brought the last section of the tower up. And it looks like there's some kind of winch system right there, which does kind of lend credence to the fact that there's going to be some kind of shuttle on the side of this thing that goes up and down, presumably for catching a booster, right? Like, you could definitely see that there's a pulley or something over there. See the wheels? And then there's another one right there, right? Have you seen this yet? New ship has joined the West Coast fleet. Oh, boy. A new ship has arrived at the SpaceX West Coast dock. Oh. Another 270 DP1, nice. Man, when they launch whatever it's like, it's gonna be all kinds of crazy. Yeah, it's gonna be all kinds of epic, Jim. Yeah, you're not wrong. Could be for the elevator too. Why would a pulley for the elevator not be where the elevator shaft is, Swishio? Honest question. I mean, you're right. This one could be, sure. That's nuts. I'm just gonna go a little bit backwards in NSF's feed right here. Yo, look at that. That is nuts, dude. Look at that. Where would the crew access arm be? I don't know. Maybe like somewhere right here, I guess? Is that steel or concrete? That's a steel tower. What if that's the rocket's elevator, not the people bucket? Maybe. I don't know, dudes. Your guess is as good as mine. But holy crap! And see, look, they moved the orbital launch table. There it is. So SpaceX is, wow. They have the GSE and the orbital launch table. Look at that, man. Wow, they really buttoned this thing up, dude. It has plates on the outside. You see that? Did you see the hold down mechanism video? No, I haven't. Oh, hi, oil rig. Yeah. Come on, do something nice. PDF for their new vessel. Oh, sweet. I'll check that out. The August 5th might not sound as crazy when you see the progress. I think, Sanchai, there's, dude, there's no way. There's no... Look, I'm not one to doubt SpaceX. If anything, they can do it, and they'll probably do it faster than everyone else in the industry. Now, that's one thing Joey got right in that article. SpaceX moves very fast for what they do. They move very quickly. They do move way faster than Boeing. Like, way faster. But part of that is perceived because we get to see daily insight into what they're doing every day. I guarantee you guys, if there was a Boeing Starliner live feed of them working on the capsules every day, and somebody we reported about Starliner every day, and we could see day-to-day updates of what they're doing with it, then people would be just as interested. Part of this is a PR thing, but that's just personal opinion. But point still stands. SpaceX goes faster than everyone. They do go faster than everyone. They are very, very quick. With that being said, dude, I don't think they're that quick. And that's not me hating. I think that is much more likely an internal deadline that SpaceX set to try and do a sprint to get this thing operational. They're pushing. They're pushing for an orbital launch sometime in August. My question is, why? This is something that I've not really tried to figure out. Now, don't get me wrong. We could sit here and say, what's the urgency? And, if we asked Elon Musk that question, he would say that the urgency is because we need to make life multiplanetary, and he would talk about factor of survival when it comes to making Earth multiplanetary, and I get that, and I agree with it. With that being said, what? Dude, you could launch it in September and it would still be light years ahead of everybody. Why such the aggressive internal deadlines? Now, don't get me wrong. I know that SpaceX is very good at the Elon time. They do aggressive internal deadlines on purpose. What I want to know is, I've never seen them try to push like this before. I've never seen them go this fast. That's why this time I'm wondering if it's different or not. And once again, I'm definitely not trying to insinuate anything here. No way. I'm just trying to get why there's such a crazy internal deadline to launch this. I think it's great, and I'm going to cheerlead them as best as I freaking can, dude. Abso-freaking-lutely. Look at this. Look at that. That's ridiculous. They're moving grain silos out to that pad faster than people can move rockets to pads. It's unbelievable. Robert Zubrin asserts that Musk is aware that he is not immortal and the time he has is limited. Interesting. I guess. Giga rumor and take it with a grain of salt. SpaceX got kicked out of... Giga rumor and take it with a grain of salt. SpaceX got kicked out of the HLS program, and now Elon is pulling a fine, I'll do it myself. No, I'm not. Yeah, no. I highly doubt that that's what's going on. I've been thinking that for a while. I wouldn't want to work in that high-tempo environment ever again. Well, I mean, Pulse, it ain't far from, joining the military, for instance, dude. Some people crave that kind of structured environment. You know those types of folks. I mean, heck, dude, it probably would have done good for me, dude. I'm already really hard on myself. Having somebody scream in my face would probably, I mean, that would be really nice, actually, Having somebody yell in your face, go, why'd you put that rifle back so quickly together? Because you told me to, drill sergeant. Fantastic, Gump. You must have an IQ of 150. But, I think when it comes to SpaceX, dude, people want that fast-paced environment, especially if they're young, just out of school. SpaceX is something that you don't. I don't think there's probably lifers at SpaceX, right? But that people use that. People work at SpaceX for 2 years, put that stuff on their resume, and then use it to go find a job somewhere else. It's a hell of a thing to put on your resume. That means something if you have space exploration technologies on your resume. And I think that's why people do it. And I think that's why people, that's why SpaceX still has, even despite, rotating out a lot of employees. A lot of SpaceX employees are at Blue Origin nowadays. Other SpaceX employees are at Relativity. Some of them went to Firefly, from what I heard. They move people all over the place all the time. That means there's no. People want to get in there and they want to work on this and they want to say they're a part of it and they want to They want to be in that fast-paced environment because putting that on your resume means you can get a job. You can get a job anywhere, right? Come, what is your purpose? To do whatever you tell me to, drill sergeant. I've heard a lot of people on my rocket team who work there say it's very stressful and definitely not for everybody. In fact, a lot of them are siphoned off by smaller space companies like Relative. Just Space, if I were just getting out of school for AE, I would love to work at SpaceX. I would do that 23, 24, maybe 2 to 3 years, work at SpaceX, rake the cash, literally put foot to tail for 3 years straight, rake in crazy amounts of money, live very modestly, go find another job somewhere else after that, and then go find a house, go buy a house somewhere. It's just like, I mean, it's just like there's folks in the military, right? Who, you know, the military's fairly good pay. It depends on what you're doing, right? Military's fairly good pay. There are guys that spend it on muscle cars and stuff, like me. And then there's people that work in the military that pocket all that cash and they live very modestly. And then by the time they get out of the military, they have plenty of cash to spend. And then you can use your GI Bill to go to school, right? And then you go to college for nothing and still never be in debt. Like, that's what I would do, honestly. If I was a kid nowadays and I was at school for AE Just Space, I would want to work at SpaceX for a couple of years, rake in ungodly amounts of cash, and then go find another job. Yeah, Paul's Mr. Stock Market. See what I'm talking about? Like, dude, I know this game. But also muscle car. It doesn't. You should treat yourself. Treat yourself. Yeah, God. All right, I'll check that out. Credit the Lab Padre for the hold down points. Let me take a look here. Let's see what we got. Oh, interesting. Or you'll end up with missing limbs or severe PTSD and wonder if it was worth it. I mean, if that's how you want to look at that and all, I think that's, you know, a hell of a thing to say that to people that are, you know, willing to risk their life for your safety. I mean, I wouldn't look at it that way. I don't think that's fair. I think he knows that the project lives as long as the great mind it started. Yeah, Kem. Yeah, that's right. I think Elon's pushing because, yeah, it could be just finite amounts of time talking about SpaceX and deadlines, dude. But Kem, I've never seen them push this fast. I've never been following for a long time. I've never seen SpaceX go literally stop what you're doing. Whatever you're working on, stop what you're doing. You're getting on a jet tomorrow and you're going to Boca Chica to finish this. It's crazy how fast they're going. It's cool. Like, don't get me wrong. It's fascinating to see. And safety overcome through profit for the rich. Wow, you guys must be real fun at parties. Holy crap. My current plan is to work there or anywhere we're going to get us to the moon and Mars. My man. Yep. SpaceX only hires Americans, right? Yeah, that's why the director of launch operations for the longest time, Senchai, was named Hans Königsmann. Because they only hire Americans, right? No, you can emigrate and you can get a visa. You just have to become a citizen to do it. I'd love to work at SpaceX, but they keep rejecting your application. Oof. Does SpaceX hire like right out of college? Yeah. If you're talented enough, Livid, sure. Yes, no. I don't know, man. Maybe. Yeah, there you go, Vanguard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kaz, they can literally pull from the best. That's right. That's it, man. SpaceX does internships. Yep. Obviously, half of space nerds became space nerds because I don't want to live on this planet anymore. It's a very superficial reason to want to do that, in my opinion, Jop. Actually, not in my opinion. It's a superficial reason in general. We need to go into space because figuring out how to do stuff in space can help us down here. And we should go explore. At no point in human history has humanity ever just said, yeah, we're good. We all know where that road leads. You've been down that road before, Neo. You know exactly where it ends. I think you're bugged. Oh, Jesus Christ, that thing is real! I don't know about you, but for me, I can't stand being on the same planet as these willfully stupid people. Synerd, I mean this with all due respect. That's a really crappy reason to want to leave the planet. All these willfully stupid people. No, you should be the change that you want to see. I don't think people are willfully stupid. Humans are a lot more complicated than that. There's a reason. There's a reason why people do stuff and why people turn their backs on things. There's a very good reason. And sometimes that reason might not be as unfounded as you might think. So, I be the change that I want to see. And I sit here and I teach people about the space program because I be the change. Like I said, I'm being the change that I want to see. There might be stupid people out there, but they're certainly not going to get smarter if you don't try. I mean, the kind of people that you try to educate, but they call you names instead of engaging in proper debate. I mean, Synerd, you see me here on a daily basis educating people about space. Do people ever do that with me? There you go, Fistus. I want to leave because you want to explore. There you go. EJ wants humanity to become obsessed with space and watch videos about it online. Yeah, I worked with you, Squishin. Ha! Yeah, I mean, but Synerd, see, here's my thing, dude, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. Any idiot can sit there and point out and point out and recognize an issue that people are ignorant to a subject, all right? It takes balls to go over there and talk to said folk, especially people that are skeptical. I deal with this all the time with spaceflight. It takes balls to go over there and be the change that you want to see and reach out and try to show these people that this is a good thing. This is what we want to do. This is what we need to do. It's imperative. No matter where you stand on issues, this is an imperative that we need to do as a species, all right? Or as a country. I mean, that will work with people too, if that's what we want to do. I mean, the national security thing works with certain people, with folks usually, if that's how they look at it. But what I won't do is sit there and just write off someone. That's really, really, really stupid. That's how you make enemies. Any idiot can sit there and point out a problem. It takes stones to go and solve said problem. Once again, I'll go back to it. You can acknowledge that there are people that are, might seem willfully stupid, but until you go over there and talk to them and try and figure out where they're at, you're not going to be able to sit there and figure out a solution. In this case, selling the idea of space. And I say selling the idea of space like it's something that people don't need. Oh, you need to go into space so I can enjoy space. No, it's something that we need to do. We have to. It is imperative. Like, we will destroy ourselves here. We're only you can either progress or you can regress as a species and as a civilization. There is no third direction. Hey, Nick, 30-month resub. That's why I do what I do here, guys. It's part of the reason. I'm here on the front lines every day, teaching people about space and showing people that this is vital. We need to do this. So it's so ridiculously important. And once again, like, I get it, dude. The bird app people, you know what I'm talking about. It's really easy to get discouraged, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I get discouraged. I mean, Synerd, every once in a while, I encounter people that don't want to change their mind. I can tell that somebody is very, very strong in their convictions about it, and they don't want to change their mind, and I just, you know what? Yeah, sure. All right. If that's what you think, man, that's fine. Sure. Yeah, Victory, yeah, it is what it is, dude. I mean, Victory, I don't know about you, but I want to go and talk to the people that don't like space or that think space is a waste of time. I want to go talk to them. I want to see where they're at. I want to see why they think that. Because they live in the same world that I do, right? How did I come to a completely different conclusion? It's just part of being a curious mind, you know? Like, I want to go and figure it out, dude. Yeah, I can understand that. Sure, you'd be... More often than not, you'd be surprised how much, you know, like people that you think are stupid aren't as stupid as they make out to be. It's just they might disagree with you on things, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing as long as you're civil about it. So Electron is launching at 2 a.m. and Nauka coverage is starting at 8:30. Yeah, I'm taking a break between Electron and Nauka. And then at 10:30 a.m. there's an OFT2 mission briefing with the Administrator Florida, man. How are you going to juggle that? Yeah, I just came to the conclusion that I'm not getting sleep over the next couple of days. That's fine. That mentality goes both ways. I guess. Hasn't failed me yet, Victory. SpaceX is hiring for a spaceport mixologist. Someone's got to tend the bar, Warhawk. Being civil with people that you disagree with. I'm going to be honest, that doesn't sound like people. Nice, Thomas. Inside view of the OLP. Here, let's take a look. Let's see what we can see from that picture. This is from Cosmic Perspective here. Oh. Yep, there's those hold downs. Oh, it's interesting. Look, dude, they have a pendant right there. It's a giant pendant, like what you'd see on a crane. It takes too long to explore the universe. We need warp drive. Once again, pointing out problems versus finding solutions, Liam. Anybody can point out a problem. It takes brain power and balls to freaking solve that problem. We need warp drive. Anybody that knows anything about space can figure that one out, dude. So what are you doing about it? What are you doing to change that? Open in new tab. Okay. Nice, Draco. That's cool. Yeah, there's the hold down points. So it looks like the hold down points are on an arm, right? And that arm does this. It folds up and in. And this thing kind of compresses like that. It's a very heavy launch table. It ain't light. T-Man, you gotta... Speaking of launch tables, we should go and finish ours. You know what... T-Man, you know good and well what this thing needs to hold up. It needs to hold up 100 tons of payload and like 4,000 tons of Starship and Super Heavy fully fueled, man. It's got to be strong. I mean, look at the chunk on that freaking piece right there. Look at how thick that steel is. That steel is ridiculous. That's easily 2 to 3 inches thick. Each one of those arms has a small clamp on the top. Yeah. They look like the clamps that are on the suborbital test stands, but there's 20 of them, right? It's a little kind of like if Starship is like this, it kind of does that, and then there's 20 of them around the ring, Crumpet. I'm good, Forge. I got it. Yeah, crazy, man. An aerial picture. Guys, we gotta get into some KSP, but once again, I'm not... We gotta go. But yeah, there it is. Yeah, see, there's those hold down points. It's crazy, dude. It's just ridiculous to me how quickly this is going. Wait a minute. This is by pad A. Thomas, is this by suborbital pad A? What's it doing over there? Doesn't need to go that way? How fast do they move, Kumo? These things will need to close real quick. I'll bet you these things slam shut because, well, I have a feeling, Kumo, that right in this area right here, not here or here so much, but when the rocket goes to launch, this area is going to get very, very hot and very loud. These things might, you know, want to get out of the way. It's the staging area? Got it. All right, cool. They parked it there for now. Okay, got it. Yeah, I think it's going to get warm in this area right here. Shuttle GSE design? Not really. What does this look like? Please tell him to put a marshmallow under it. Anything you put underneath this job, you're gonna lose. Dude. Heck, even flame deflectors get messed up. I've seen the flame deflectors from the shuttle, dude. It's literally a concrete slab on a piece of steel that looks like this to deflect the flames down. They get the full brunt force of an SRB, and the concrete melts. Melts. The concrete looked like melted butter. Seriously. Yeah, it gets really warm right in this area right here. Will the SSDO beat Starship into orbit? Nice, Foo Face. Yeah, I hope so. By the end of this week. Do you think they're gonna need a flame deflector still for Starship? Don't know. Maybe. No, the big parking spaces. Yeah, whatever. Would RCC backed by steel and concrete stand up to that kind of punishment? Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe. Nah, entropy, you know, arguably there will be conflicts over resources. When is there not? When is there not? Of course. You know, us going into space isn't going to solve all of our problems here, and I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that for a second. It ain't going to solve all of our problems. No way. You'd be stupid to think that. But humanity has this really good knack of making problems. Yeah. Making problems. Yeah, we're really good at that. We make our own problems because our brains naturally search for the bad, dude. It's because we fought and evolved over billions of years to get to the top of the food chain, and during that time, there was always a persistent threat. You know, threat to being able to not eat or being able to protect your family, etc., etc. It's a primal human instinct, so we're always going to have problems. That's just kind of part of the human condition. So the nose tip doesn't have any tile mounting on it, so I wonder how they will do the thermal protection system on it. Alright, one last picture. Space News went super long today, but that's okay. We got a long stream anyway, dudes. You're going to get the same amount of Kerbal. Kerbal's just going to go a lot longer, because I'm going to the Rocket Lab launch, and then I'm going to go to sleep, and then we're going to come back for the... I'm going to come back for Nauka, and then I guess a press conference. Yeah, so I'm getting like 2 to 3 hours of sleep tonight. That's fine. It's okay. I got plenty of sleep last night. It's all good. The board just need to come already. Yeah, I don't want that. Can we gloss over the remaining news? Well, floating the remaining news was the stuff that you linked, dude. Thomas, what are you looking at here? There's no bolt points for the tiles right there? There doesn't need to be tiles right there. That's the leeward side. High-res picture from a day ago. This is the leeward side, though, is it not? I'm waking up at 3 a.m. this morning and heading down to Florida to watch OFT2. That's awesome, Livid. Cool. It doesn't have it at the tip, just the tip. Yeah. Thomas, you really want my honest? I don't think it needs it. With how I did a deep dive into talking about what I think Starship needs for its thermal protection system. If I looked at that right, Starship does not need a nose cone like the shuttle. It doesn't need it. It does not need thermal protection at the tip of the nose cone. I'll tell you why. Here, take a look. So look at this shape right here. Starship is not pod shaped. It's shaped like a bullet, right? But Starship is going to have tiles, a lot of tiles on one side, and we know those are tough rock tiles. We know those tough rock tiles are good enough to withstand 3000 C, so they will make it. They'll make it through. Now, check these shapes right here. All right? So, Starship ain't going to go through entry like this. That is not a good idea. See, they're not putting tiles on the nose cone, so that I would write that one out. They have a blunt nose cone, so the front of the nose cone kind of looks like this over here. Man capsule concept kind of looks like that, but they're not doing that either. Missile nose cones, they ain't doing that one either. This one over here. This one. That's the key. Starship is going to enter not at 45 degrees like the shuttle, not at 0 degrees like nothing. It's going to hit EI at 90 degrees positive angle of attack, and it's going to do blunt body concept. It's going to do that. So, we're not looking at Starship from the side here. We're looking at it at the top. From the top. The nose cone would be right here, and we'd be looking. If Starship is coming in like this, we're looking at it from like that, right? We're looking at it from the top, looking down. And in that regard, you don't need anything on that nose cone. No thermal protection needed, because it's not taking the brunt of the plasma. The windward side of it is. And the way the tiles are set up on Starship, from what I've seen here, kind of show that that's what's going on. The engine section is facing towards Earth. Yeah, I mean, so Thomas, it's either that or they just haven't made all the tile mounting spots. It's one or the other. We could just be reading too much into it, and they could have, not just put these things in here to mount tiles here, and I could be completely wrong. Or they're going to put something on the nose cone. No idea. But, like I said, we had this conversation the other day, and I was like, oh, Starship is going to need a nose cone like the space shuttle. It's going to need a nose cone like the space shuttle. And chat was like, no, that's not right. And I'm like, why? And they told me that that's what we figured out. That Starship is going to come in like this. Not like this or like this. It's coming in like that. 90 degrees. So the engine section is facing towards the ground. And that does change things. That changes a lot of things. You don't need the nose cone to punch through the plasma like you did with the space shuttle. And Elon, and that confirms with what Elon said in a Joe Rogan podcast. The nose is pointier. We could have made the nose not as pointy. The nose cone doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's tiles up there. All you need is tiles on the windward side and you're good to go. You don't need tiles on the nose cone. But why do they have the weird tile patch at the aft flap area then? Show me a picture. When Kerbal. I'm loading up Kerbal right now, guys. We're going to finish up that space news here, and we're going to go right into KSP. Once again, KSP is going long today, dude.